All right. Good morning. I believe it is 8:30. Let's do a little check-in. Let's do a little check-in. Say hello. Good morning. Well, people will be joining us, I believe. Good morning, Rayanne. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Claire. How are you?
Tell me something good today, both of you. What's something you're looking forward to today?
Spending time with my grandchildren.
Oh, good. Nice.
I just really enjoy these connections, and I learn something new every time we go through this, and from the people and from you and Ray. So I'm super excited for all of that today.
Nice. Me too. Me too. Sophia, good morning. You've got your mute button off. I'm going to you first. How are you today?
I am pretty terrific. Lots of great things are happening.
Good.
I enjoyed the session yesterday, learned much, and I have true confession. When I signed up for the program, I was thinking, well, I'm an experienced facilitator. I've been doing this for years. Do I really need to do this? And the answer this morning is yes, I really need to do this.
Nice. Well, Sophia, I hear that a lot, and I think it's just because as educators, it's fun to get refreshed sometimes and to just take a fresh look and perspective at what we're doing, right?
Yes, it is. And learn new information at the same time.
Sure.
With my left brain, I believe I've been designing with my left brain, yet working through the materials last night, I have left out a big part of caring.
Okay. Oh my God, I can't wait to hear more and to work with you, Sophia. It's wonderful. Great, great, great. So we're just saying a quick good morning here to everyone. Let's go to Dan and then Joel. We've got, okay, two Joel Hoffmans. Are you guys using the same account or the same login? I would, if you know how to change your name on the screen, you go up to the three dots.
Three dots.
On the top right.
Okay.
And go to rename.
Got you.
And put your real name
Put
in
my
there.
real name in there.
We'd love it. Thank you. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. I want to go back and just say good morning to everyone. Just take a few moments here to check in since we're a nice, intimate group.
Yeah.
And Bernard, you've got your mute off. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are all of you doing? I'm sorry I missed yesterday. I didn't get email, and so I didn't get a chance to join you yesterday. So hopefully I can join you today and continue for the rest of the week.
Oh, well, you're here now, and we welcome you, and love to work with you and bring you up to speed. There's also a recording from the last session, so you can watch that later. Okay?
Great, thank you.
Yes, you bet. And let's see, Joel, Dan, go ahead and unmute and tell us how you're doing today and what you're looking forward to.
Doing well. Hello, everybody. Kind of echoing what Sophia said, I was thinking, I teach defensive tactics, arrest and control techniques at our local police academy. And one of the things we always tell students or cadets is that, you need to, enter in with kind of, we call it the empty teacup model. So you bow and you empty out all the knowledge you had, and then you stand up with an empty teacup ready to be filled with new knowledge. And I think is no matter how long you've been doing something, there's always new information to learn. So that's what I'm looking forward to, kind of picking up that new nugget or that aha moment of new information that I can use in the future.
Nice. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. And Joel, good morning.
Good morning. I had a great 2-hour dance class last night. And,
nice.
But that wasn't on Zoom. That was in person. So that was incredibly awesome. Looking forward to a nice long day, which I hope has plenty of breaks to go fill my coffee cup and
Promise it will. Yes. Very good.
By the way, Bernard, did you get my written summary of day one?
I did, Joel, and I appreciate it. It was very thorough. So
send it to us. We'd love to read it.
Okay, cool. I will do that.
Awesome.
Yes,
Thank
excellent
you.
information.
I think I can just put a link in this chat thing, right?
Oh, yes, please do. Fantastic.
So let's see.
Okay, I'm
Copy.
coming to you, Nicole, and then Jeanette. And just say good morning. Tell us what you're excited about today. Good morning, Nicole. Hello.
Good morning. I haven't had enough coffee yet, so give me a couple minutes. But after we left the last class, I was actually looking through different platforms because I'm building a training program for my full-time employer. And I'm actually going to build out their entire management and leadership academy in Kahoot.
Okay.
Oh,
Kahoot. Okay, that's new. I haven't used that.
So I'm gonna structure the entire thing like a game because I work with a lot of software developers and things like that. And if it's just content and lectures, they get bored and they will mute me and go about their day. So if I make it a game and it's a competition between them, I am hoping I get more buy-in.
And so, Nicole, are you going to video? Is it going to be a recorded class or is it going to be a live class?
It's going to be a recorded class just because I have so many different departments that I have to share this with, and with their crazy work schedules, if they're essentially putting out a fire, they need to be able to do it on their own time.
Okay, so Nicole, for recorded, if you want to chat a little bit more about how to really utilize a little bit more stuff for a recorded class, because you probably know this, when it's recorded, people will get really excited at first and then not finish, right? Yep. So anyway, I can talk to you about that offline if you'd like, because I've been working with it. Not that I'm like some kind of an expert, but I've been working heavily with how to get people to finish.
Okay,
so,
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Good morning, Jeanette.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited just to kind of see what new things I'm going to learn today in the course. So I've started building that mind map, putting things together.
Good.
And I need to do an ethics training, which is not the most exciting, but it's given me a good insight, to think more about the audience. And, for some reason, when we think about legal training, we just think about the law and they just have to. But so I'm changing my own mindset on how to deliver the training.
Let's work with that, Jeanette. I think that's lovely. Ethics is powerful stuff. So very good. I'm glad you're working with that. Okay, how about Samantha, then Lisa, then Harlan, then Clark?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Started.
You what?
Oh, I said I'm ready to get started.
You are? Okay, good. Samantha, tell me, what are you working with? What kind of a topic are you working with?
I actually haven't taught a course yet. So I work in distribution, like supply chain, and I work part-time for Kern Community College District as a professional expert in that type of field. So I'm taking this course just in case an opportunity comes up that I'll teach a course online, that I'll be better prepared for it.
Okay, great. Excellent, Samantha. I love it.
Samantha's actually working on a project with me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so should you two be in the same group for our cohort, for our presentations? Would that work?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, great. Okay, so one of the things we want to do today is just make sure that we get those groups figured out, and who's going to be working with me, and who's going to be working with Rayanne, and who's going to be working with Jonathan. So we're gonna sort that out here this morning. Lisa, good morning. Oh, you're muted.
Good morning. How is everyone? I'm glad to be back. Love the first day. I sent an email to Dave Teasdale and said, this is amazing. Everybody should take this class.
Oh, that's great. Love it.
I think the Zoom world would be a much better place.
Oh, good.
I really echo what Samantha's saying. I haven't taught before. My world is more right now, and has been for the last 6 years, as a liaison and a consultant to be able to drive education and industry together. So, and like I said, my background is construction. That's what I'm working in. And sometimes, well, all the time, there's a real disconnect between the two. So looking at changing that perception, building educational programs around the area, and just really connecting everybody to get everybody moving in the same direction.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks, Lisa. I didn't realize, I knew when we were emailing last night about the construction, I didn't realize that you don't yet teach, but so I was like thinking about construction all night, but we're gonna have some fun. And I love what you said about driving education and industry, being a consultant, because I think what you're learning here could actually be super powerful in that role. Super powerful.
Yeah, because when I came in, I thought, oh gosh, kind of like Samantha, I haven't taught anything, but when we finished, I'm like, oh, that's why I said everybody should take this class, because I think regardless of where you're at, this is so imperfect to have engagement, regardless if you're teaching or not.
Right. Good. Yeah, and you can make sure you share that with Margaret. No, I'm just kidding. So, Harlan, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good. So I'm with the Kern Community College District also, and although I see a lot of people on here I don't recognize that apparently have something to do with our college district, but I do recognize Bernard Anthony there. Me and him go a long ways back. Let me see. I started with them and with Dave Teasdale, since his name came up, about 2009.
Okay.
And Bernard, I guess you came on board in 2010?
I came on board 2009 and a half.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah. Somewhere around there. Yeah.
That's right, Harlan.
All kinds of construction topics and whatnot. And I think we're working on one now for safety topics and a whole bunch of other stuff. But specifically, I do solar energy and things related to solar energy training.
Nice.
And they're trying to get us to do some stuff way up in the middle of, where is that, Bernard? Bishop, California.
Mammoth.
Beautiful. Bishop is beautiful.
Yeah. Bernard wants to try his hand at skiing, I think. Then go up to Mammoth.
Okay, solar energy. I love it. All right, let's go to Clark and then Thomas, and then we will get right into our content. Good morning, Clark. Let's see, you're muted. There you go. Uh-oh. If you go to, here, does that help? If you go to the 3 little dots on your picture, Clark. There you go. Oops, I keep doing that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, Claire, I'd like to thank you for the Amazing Trainer booklet. I have really, it's made me really think again. I'm approaching, I've been retired for 5 years. I'm approaching, the 70 mark, and I still feel that I have something to contribute. And that's why I'm still staying here. I work with San Bernardino Community College System, and for them, I train convicted felon parolees in the Cal OSHA 10 and also in forklift. And so there's plenty of jobs in that area, and some of them are starting almost at $20 an hour. So it's a pretty good deal for someone that's been incarcerated. For some of these guys, they've been incarcerated for over half their life.
Wow.
And it's just absolutely mind-boggling. And even though I've never really been on the inside, I can tell you that I seem to be able to make a little bit of a connection with them, and I think that really helps out. Nice. The other half is with Intech, which is part of Chaffey College, and work there. And I get all sorts of people, generally people that are trying to change where they're going. Yeah. They're not making it here. Most of them have families. Most of them are married, and they can see that there's a dead end what they're doing, and let's make a change. So that's what I do, and it's made me. Your booklet's kind of made me reflect on some of this, and I actually went to community colleges when they were called junior college in the 60 and early 70. Yeah. And so I've seen quite a transformation on what from there to community colleges and everything. And so I taught everything there is to teach pretty much. at primarily industrial arts and et cetera. So
Yeah.
anyway, I taught at the universities, and I taught 15 years for University of San Diego in their
Nice.
teacher credentialing program. So there's
Nice.
people out there teaching
Yeah.
your kids
Yeah.
that had my class. So hopefully that's gone well.
That's amazing. Well,
So-
thank you, Clark. And I'm glad. I hope we can rekindle your connection to teaching here and get you to work on something that you bring back. Thomas, how about you? Are you there? There you are.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Yes. Good morning, everyone. My name is Thomas. I work with the San Bernardino Community College as well. I primarily focus on public speaking. That is my professional background. I have a business, a coaching business, so I help people build their public speaking confidence. So I enjoy
Right.
helping people. Yes, I enjoy working with different individuals to help them build their confidence and to become better communicators, and to also improve the professional development, to help them with professional development. So I've been doing that for about 10 years now.
Good.
So,
Good. Thank you, Thomas. Awesome. And will you be able to have your camera on part of the day today, do you think?
yes.
Good. We love to see you.
There we go. I forgot
All
the
right.
invite.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thanks everybody. We've got such an in-depth class today. We are going to roll up our sleeves and do some work together. We're going to put you in small groups and we're going to dive in deep. So if you go into a group, if you are not working with a specific topic today, by all means, you can support someone else with their topic and help work with them. Going through the process is part of the magic here. So even if you're not going to be presenting, but we want to do a quick check-in with you. We want to find out how many of you are planning to do a presentation for certification. Can you please give me a hands up, because the reaction bar goes away pretty quick. So let's see who's going to do a presentation. Okay, we've got Jonathan and Rand. Can you guys get this? Okay, we've got Joel, Dan, Sophia, Bernard, Nicole, Jeanette, good. Lisa, Samantha, Clark, everybody. Harlan, are you in? Oh, you're muted still.
Haven't had a chance to look at that yet, actually.
Okay, so you let us, we'll talk a little bit more about it as we go, and then we'll check in with you at the break, okay? So this is awesome, you guys. I'm glad. So behind the scenes here, while I go through some slides and get everybody started, we're going to be working, Rayanne and Jonathan are going to be working to put folks into groups to work with us in that next piece, that certification piece. So the idea here is that you give a 20-minute presentation, and we just go into the specific, like one specific thing in that 20-minute presentation. We'll prep you all for it before you leave today, okay? No problem. All right, so let us move ahead. Big day today. Okay, so today, you know, day one, we learned about the tools and strategies of engagement. We kind of went big and we talked about real-time engagement with folks in the room at the time that you're teaching. We also talked about measuring progress with a success path, and we talked about gamification. How can you make it more fun for people to stay engaged? And again, this comes up a lot, especially if you're doing multiple classes. You want people to stay engaged over time. Today, we're talking about designing for real change. So that's the underlying structure of the class. It's how you consider the transformation that you want your folks to make. And Thomas, I'm just going to go with what you said earlier just a minute ago about helping people get more confident as public speakers, because that was such a great example of the difference between just teaching the structure of public speaking, like here's how you structure your introduction, and here's what should be in a powerful conclusion. Good stuff. People need to know that. But usually what they struggle with more than anything is building confidence, right? So what you're talking about, Thomas, and helping people build confidence as public speakers, that's ultimately like getting the transformation to take hold. the transformation of I'm nervous, I'm scared, I don't know if I can stand up in front of a room, etc., to the end game of like, I can do this. I feel like I can do this. Maybe I'm still nervous, but I've got more confidence, right? And that's kind of what the essence of what we're getting at today is, where are they now? And what do you really want them to feel and experience at the end of your course? Okay. So I was thinking, Clark, too, when you were talking about the working with convicted felons and stuff, I was just thinking about giving, again, it's sort of like the confidence of being prepared for getting out of prison, right? Of like doing something else, of having a purposeful, meaningful job, a livelihood, etc. So there's things that go on, and I don't want to put that on anyone. These things come to mind for me as I'm teaching and hearing all about the different topics. I'm always thinking about what is the undercurrent and the transformation we want people to make. So today we're going to work on that. Day 3, as we talked about, is presenting your 20-minute plan to us as a presenter. And day 4 is capturing your lessons learned. Okay. Of course, we're trying to prepare you for a future where you create and build profitable strategic training businesses, right? And I want to just say a tiny bit about that. I'm going to make this real short, but I'll give you a little bit of the backstory here. And that is that I came into contract ed under Rayanne, with Rayanne. She brought me in. I was an instructor at Ohlone College when she and I met, maybe even before that. We might have even, I think you brought me into Ohlone as an instructor first, I'm pretty sure. And I was an instructor there. And then she was working in contract ed, and she sort of like scooped me up and brought me over to contract ed. And that was late 90s. I think that was in the late 90s, right? So quite some time ago. And I will say that she and I both have had careers like this. I hope it's okay that I speak on your behalf here a little bit, Rayanne. Chime in if you'd like to correct me. But we all know, all of us know, if any of us are in contract ed, we all know that contract education runs on a shoestring, right? You're expected to do a lot. And usually, I'll just say honestly, a lot of people run contract ed units while also running entirely different programs as well. And you've got to bring in the money, you got to build good curriculum, you have to partner with industry, you've got to partner with other colleges, you've got to like do all this stuff. And in a nutshell, let me say that I struggled with that for a long time. So under Ohlone, thank goodness I had a team. We worked together so well. We had like actual support. But after I left Ohlone, the rest of my 25 years in contract ed, basically, or 20 more years, was me kind of working alone and scrapping together a business. And I will say that one of the things I discovered was what's in this class. When you build really good courses and you can compete with the best, when you build really good courses, then the business starts coming to you. And it takes a little bit of the pressure off your plate because you don't have to hustle so hard to get the next job all the time. The jobs start to come to you. Your clients really love you. They start to get results. They tell their friends. And pretty soon you have this fantastic pipeline of business that's coming to you. Now, as teachers, most of us want to do that anyway. We want to have breakthrough courses. We want to get tremendous results, but we don't necessarily know how. Okay. We might know what worked, like, oh, that was a really good class. What made that so different? So I just set about trying to create a method and a model for what makes the really good classes different. And this is kind of the essence of what I landed on and built the contract ed unit at Cabrillo College. I built that around this model. So that's kind of the backstory here and why, I'm so passionate about this stuff because to me, it just changed my whole life to know how to do it faster with better, more predictable results. So that's the backstory. Today, again, big day, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to learn a framework. We're going to learn that methodology, that framework, that model. that you can apply to designing any course or workshop. And honestly, to this day, I go through this process every time I build a new class, which is several times a month at least. Okay. So I go through the process. I start at the beginning and I go through the process, and it helps me every time. You're going to connect with your amazingness because you are amazing already. We're going to stoke up your passion for teaching, for your topic. That's what we really want to do. We're going to identify some constraints and audience needs because we always are working with some kind of constraints. So we're going to acknowledge those and bring those into the planning process. You're going to craft something we call your MIT, your most important takeaway. That is your guide every time you step into the classroom. We're going to work with that. We're going to prepare you to transfer your ideas to a roadmap. And again, that is in your Be an Amazing Trainer guidebook. Does everybody have the guidebook? Does anybody not have the guidebook?
I don't have the guidebook.
You don't have it. Okay. Bernard, when we get to our first break, I'm going to make sure we get that uploaded into the chat when we get back. Okay. So you can download it instantly. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
You bet. And you're going to brainstorm with other talented trainers. I love that. You know what? This brainstorming process, the collaboration, the connection with others is something that I cannot get enough of. I feel like teaching can be kind of an especially now in COVID, can be a kind of a isolating experience. And what we want is we want to reach out and break the boundaries and work with other people. Like there's plenty to go around, right? So let's all connect and be amazing. I mean, Rayanne and I have shared material for this entire 25 years. I'll say to her, I'll just call her randomly, what do you have on time management? And she'll send me a suitcase full of potential ideas for time management. We love doing that together. And so it's nice to build a network around that kind of thing. And finally, we were going to get very creative and transformation focused. So that is our plan. Lots to do today. I will admit right up front, I've got more material today than I know we can get through, which kind of violates one of my basic principles. But I have a plan for how far we're going to get today. And then I might just sort of briefly introduce the rest because it's all in your workbook. And I want to make sure I answer questions about any of it. But we're really only going to do the first part of the workbook today. The course that you have, the workbook basically goes with a course that is about a 2-day course. So we're just going to do the first part and get you all set up. Luckily, most of you have teaching experience. So this will give you a good, you'll be able to leverage what you already know there. And we're going to give you some tools to continue. Okay. So that's our job. Today, we are going into our first breakout session. We thought 4 people, 10 minutes, but I'm going to leave that to Jonathan. What do you think, Jonathan? What are we going to do here? 3 people, maybe? I don't know.
I think 4 is good.
Yeah. 4 is good? Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go 4 people, 10 minutes. If you remember from Tuesday, you see the little camera icon here. I'm going to populate this slide, and then you can take a screenshot. You've just introduced yourself, so you don't probably need to do that part. I wanted you to talk about the topic or class that you're working on for our certification. Like, what do you want to work with today? So if you haven't decided yet, or if you have multiple topics or something, just try to pick one thing that you think you can work with today. Something that inspires you, something that you're likely to teach, okay? Something that you want to teach in the future is fine. You don't have to stick with that necessarily, but we're going to go through this methodology. And so if you have a topic, that's super helpful. Now, so introduce those 2 things, right? You've already done name and college, but the topic, if you haven't already said it. Okay. Now, what your conversation is going to be about is here. I want you to imagine a time when you have hit it out of the ballpark. And I put in here as an online trainer, but honestly, if you haven't taught very much online, or you don't feel like you've hit it out of the ballpark yet online, that's okay. Think about a time, and it could even just be a moment in time. It doesn't even have to be like, oh, my best class, or just think about a time when you felt, this is it. This is the feeling. This is the feeling I'm going for, okay? This is what real powerful teaching is. So think about a time when you've done that. What did you do? that made that such a great moment or such a great class? What was your contribution to that? What did you do as an instructor, as a teacher? Okay. And what was the impact on the trainees? Okay. I want you to be prepared to share highlights. Now, again, if you haven't been the instructor in a place like that, engage in the conversation and even talk about a time when you were the trainee, perhaps. Okay, that's fine too. But just, I want you to get at that essence of what makes really amazing training. And since we already did, let me just run this by you, Jonathan, since we already kind of did this name college, a little bit of the topic, should we go to about 8 minutes?
Yeah, we can do that. Absolutely.
Okay, why don't we go to about 8 minutes? That should be plenty. But I do want you to come back, if you will, with some ideas about what made this such an amazing class. And we're going to capture some of those things in the chat, and we'll use that as our foundation for today. Okay, are we ready to roll?
All right, here we go.
Okay, let's take about 3 minutes is all, because I want to get your hands into your topics as fast as we can. But I want to hear just, what do you think? What creates this amazing impact? What's the difference that makes the difference? A couple of comments.
For me, it's they want to get involved. The students want to have hands-on. They want to get involved. They actually want to try to kill themselves. So we have to do things to try to prevent that. But they love getting involved.
Okay, very good. So you know that you've hit it out of the ballpark when the students are chomping at the bit to get going and make it happen. Love that, Bernard. I love that. Okay, very good. Let's have another one.
For me, it's when a student says he gets this goal, this excitement in his or her eyes, and says, "Oh, that is going to save me a ton of time."
Isn't that great? Okay. So that's the magic. There's something there that you delivered, right? That they go like, that's it. That's what I need. Perfect, Joel. Thank you. Let's do one more.
Come on, Harlan.
You got no volunteers out there.
Yeah, Harlan.
Definitely the hands-on thing. I'd concur with Bernard. We've worked a lot on crazy stuff, and I remember this one time when we had a couple of students and they were like cutting wood and doing all kinds of stuff, trying to teach them how to use saws and things like that. And I look over there and I see a guy down on all fours like a dog. And one other student has a 2x4 on his back and he's ready to saw the 2x4. And he needed a sawhorse. And I thought, and some guy actually volunteered for that. And I have to run over there and say, we have a place for this. Let's not do it on the guy's back. And I'm not too used to people volunteering to have somebody sawing on their back with a sawhorse.
Right.
But
so
all kinds of stuff can happen.
Yeah. They want to get involved. You can see
very involved. That's
the
too involved.
Is there.
Yeah, that's too involved.
That is too involved. That's too involved. But I'm hearing you guys say that those amazing training experiences actually are not about you, right? They're about that excitement that lives in the students and the participants that are in your room. And you see those light bulbs come on and you see them like wanting so much to engage that they're willing to break the rules, right? Or go for it. They want to make these things happen and bring them to life. That's what we're after. That experience, you can unlock that for you. You are pivotal in unlocking that for them. And I want you to be able to do that every time, every single time. I know that's ambitious. I have to say, not every single class I ever teach is like that, but I go for it. I go for it every time. I try to make that happen every time. And that's what the methodology is all about. It's trying to have those experiences as a teacher and bringing those forth for your students. Okay, so let's see. Can you guys, is the screen good? Can you see the whole screen?
Yes.
Everybody's good. Okay, good. All right, let's go into this. What makes an amazing trainer? The foundation and structure in this course, it's that connection. It's that connection. It's just what we talked about on Tuesday. It's that real-time engagement that we have. Now, again, there's a way that we do that live, and there's different ways that we have to try to do that online. but it's the connection that you make that's important. It's the impact. Okay, will they do something different when they leave the room? Will they know how to put the skills into action? And it's the results that you help them achieve. When they achieve results, they feel like their time was well spent and they will come back for more. That's what we're after. And I just want to ask you kind of big, broad question. I'd love a couple people that haven't chimed in, right, in that last round. What good things could happen for you if you could improve that impact on your trainees by even just 10%? What good things could happen for you, Sophia? What's something that might change in your world if the impact on your trainees was just a little bit stronger?
My business would certainly grow. Clients would be looking for me, because if you have 20 people in a class or 200 people in a class, then you have 200 salespeople.
Yes, bingo. Bingo, bingo, bingo. That's right on the money. That's what I always felt I was after. I was like, I need a volunteer sales force out there, right?
Right.
I need a volunteer sales force. Thank you, Sophia. One more comment. Anyone else? What good things could happen for you?
I think a lot of good things could happen. I mean, as far as I have learned in the sales field for a long time, if you can have somebody else sell for you, what does that save a lot of time? So you can go on to do other things. I mean, if you have a sales force doing all this for you, you don't have to do all that. And in fact, I think our bosses there have said, hey, if you go out and sell these courses, then you're automatically the teacher, at least the primary teacher on the courses. But I haven't seen anybody do that, Bernard. No.
You're working on it, Harlan.
That's something for us for any of you that are independent contractors or independents working for the colleges or something, this is something we have to make a living, right? And you make your living when you get paid in the classroom, much less than when you're doing the marketing. So, you do a great job in the classroom and you have this great impact with less marketing. So the foundations, amazing training. When we say be an amazing trainer, I think about it like this. Amazing training is audience-centered. Audience-centered. It's about them. Not about you, it's about them. Okay? Now, of course, you come into the picture. We'll talk about that, but it's transformational, meaning it seeks a change in behavior. It's not transactional. And it's not informational, it's transformational. Transformational, seeks a change in behavior, really important. It's based on the neuroscience of learning. You don't have to be a neuroscientist to know this stuff, but it is based on how the brain takes in information and how you create excitement. On Tuesday, we talked about goal setting and how goal setting stimulates dopamine in the brain. And it's a good thing. So we want to be thinking about those things. What do I need to do to help people feel excited? What do I need to do to help people feel like they're making progress? What do I need to do to help people see that this is for them, that their life will be better as a result of this? It's not about me being the sage on the stage, just imparting my knowledge. It's about what happens for them in and out of the classroom. Okay, so that's one of the big shifts that I hope you'll really get and see in this course. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we get there. But our most important takeaway for you for today, when we stepped back and we looked at what we wanted to create for you, we thought, okay, we want you to be inspired to reinvigorate your training design. Right? To reinvigorate it, to start afresh. Like Sophia was saying at the beginning, you've got lots of experience. That's okay. It's always a good idea to think fresh about what you're doing. So to reinvigorate your training design and to support breakthrough results for your trainees and yourself. Do you always get breakthrough results? No. Can you go for breakthrough results? Absolutely. That's what we want you to do. We want you to be thinking about how I can get these breakthrough results. Okay. So that's the most important takeaway. How we're going to do that. We're going to follow this proven framework for designing any course or workshop. It's not just me either, by the way. Jonathan and Rayanne have been using this methodology for a long, long time, and many, many, many other folks. In fact, I've taught this framework to, I mean, I don't know, probably several hundred people, and have gotten fantastic results with it. So I hope that it's not, you know, it's something that we've proven out in many little pockets and in different organizations. So that's what we are hoping to help you do as well. And also open to your feedback about the methodology itself, of course.
Claire, I'll just add one quick comment.
Yeah.
The MIT actually applies to meetings and projects as well. If you really, because sometimes it's easy to get lost in the details, and then you say, what is our most important takeaway? What's the one thing? And then it allows you to refocus and have an umbrella framework for everything that you're creating.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. I use that concept of the most important takeaway, that outcome driven, in almost everything I do, especially projects and meetings for sure. So we're going to follow this framework. I'm going to show you how to transfer those ideas to a roadmap, because having that one-page plan or that short, brief plan is really good as a teacher, as an instructor, as opposed to a really detailed plan, because once you get it over to that roadmap, you own it in your own brain. So we're going to talk about that roadmap idea. You're going to brainstorm with each other, and we're going to ask you to be creative and transformation focused. That's what we will do today. So let me just do a quick time check here. Okay, 9:20. Why don't we do just a very quick stretch? Everybody, hands in the air. If you are sitting, you might want to stand. I'm standing already, but if you're sitting, you might want to stand for a minute, shake it out a little bit. We will have a long break here shortly, and we're going to get into some group work. So you won't just be doing the same thing, but I want to make sure that you're taking care of your body. Once we get into our next breakout, which will be in just a moment, if you want to take 2 minutes, we'll make the breakout just a little bit longer. You want to take 2 minutes, do a quick bio break, refill your coffee, get some water, hydrate. That's always a good plan. Okay. All right. So the first question, what will you cover in your online training class? Okay. What will you cover in your training course? Maybe we'll be going back to live training sometime soon. I'm not sure, but you got to always think, okay, what am I going to really cover? What can I cover in the amount of time I have? What you cover is determined by 3 things. It's determined by you. What are you most passionate about? And what transformation have you made? We're going to talk about that in extensively. It's of course determined by logistics, which is how much time do you have and what are the expectations of your audience? Okay. Can't do everything always. And then of course, it's determined by your audience. What are their pain points? That's something that's going to lead you down the path of transformation, really understanding their pain points. Those 3 things all come together in you deciding what your most important takeaway is. We're not going to work with that just yet, but it helps you decide what you can cover in your class. What am I passionate about? How much time do I have? And what does my audience really need? All 3 of those things balance together. But we are going to start with you. And the reason I start with you, as opposed to starting with your audience, is because you need to be passionate about what you're teaching. And you need to remember the transformation that you made way back when you started learning whatever you're learning. Okay, Thomas, you're right now. You're right to my left on my screen. And again, I'm sorry, you're right there. So I'm thinking about you. And of course I resonate with public speaking because I also am a public speaking coach to some degree. But I'll just say, like, if I can use you as an example, like I'm wondering if you can remember the transformation or how it felt for you to gain confidence what did it feel like for you when you first were like, oh, wow, I should learn how to be a public speaker? Do you remember?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I struggled with that because I really wanted to be an inspirational speaker. And the only problem was that I was afraid of public speaking. So I had to really work on that. And I think it came from childhood, being teased and bullied, for different things, but mostly because of the way that I speak. And it was something that I was self-conscious about. So I started working on that journey of becoming more confident, and practice definitely helped. Speaking in front of people helped, but also learning the art of public speaking and taking the time to really study and practice that. I think it really helped build the confidence. But yeah, that transfer, it's like night and day, once you realize that, oh, you know what, this isn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
And then you start to see the impact that you have on people by teaching them and interacting with them. It just helped boost the confidence all the way around.
Bingo. That's it, Thomas. That's what I want each and every one of you to remember about your own topics. What did it feel like for you? And sometimes we got to go way back, right? We got to go way back. But we fall into the trap of, what is it called? The curse of knowledge. We fall into the trap of the curse of knowledge. Like, I'm a confident public speaker, so probably everybody's, like, where you are now is not where you were when you started. Okay, so we have to get in touch with what those people are going to be going through, the people that are walking into your room. And we'll talk about that, but your journey is really, really important. So I want you to go back. Again, we're talking about this one topic here. I want you to go back and think about what compels you about your topic. Oh, wait, you know what? I was going to upload that workbook again for any of you who don't have it. Hang on one second. Let me put that up. I got to just grab it. It's right here. Workbook, there it is. Okay, I'm going to put the PDF file in the chat for that workbook, Bernard, so you can just click that link. You don't have to use it right now, of course, but I want you to have it in case, because sometimes I show the picture, the page numbers. Okay, so what compels you about your topic? Why does it matter to you? Why does it matter? Okay, I think this is, okay, let's see, let me go. Okay, Samantha, where's Samantha? There you are, Samantha. If it's okay, again, I wrote down here, you're in distribution and supply chain. I'm telling you, when I started to learn about distribution and supply chain, I got lit up, I got fired up. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It's so cool to understand where things come from. Mm-hmm. And I don't teach anything about distribution and supply chain. I don't pretend to know very much about it at all. But when it became not just words that people throw around, but it became something that impacted my life. And it's like, what is the supply chain on this thing? Toilet paper. Yeah. What is the supply chain?
Which was so important this year. You don't even know. I got people so excited about toilet paper at work this year. It was like, we're going to get the toilet paper to the stores. Yeah.
Who knew that the supply chain would be so important for us to understand about certain things, right? But anyway, I just use that as an example because you can think like there's something compelling about every topic. Every topic, there's something compelling. There's a story there. There's somebody who's excited about it. I don't care what it is. In our last course, somebody was talking about, it was a finance topic or something that was just to them that they would go, and I don't remember, maybe Jonathan or Rayanne, maybe one of you remember who this was, and we probably shouldn't say the name anyway, but it was, the specific was this, it was like, he would say to his classes as he started teaching, I know this is boring, but we just have to get through it. And one of the things that really changed for him in going through this course is he's like, why do I start my classes like that? Why do I tell them that they should be bored with this topic that I have literally dedicated my life to? Like, no.
Claire, I remember that. And I remember how kind of chagrined he was, but also how excited he was to approach it differently. Yeah. And he realized he had basically told his audience right at the beginning of every session to tune out.
Yeah.
Right.
And now
you're going to be bored.
Telling them
right?
to tune in.
Right.
Yeah. So
analytical statistics is always an exciting course.
I love statistics, and my kids are both taking statistics right now, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so great. The things you can understand about the world and about the things you're hearing and the way you can be a critical thinker, if you get statistics, oh my gosh, so what is compelling? Why did you study what you studied? Why are you an expert? There is a reason. There is a heartfelt reason under the surface there. And if you've lost touch with it, I hope to reignite that heartfelt interest for you or help you get back to that, because it's really important. So then I want you to think about this. What problems and pain have you been able to avoid as you've worked with your content? What problems and pain have you been able to avoid? So I give the example in one of my, I think it's in the workbook, actually, about conflict. And when I was developing a conflict class, and it's like, well, I can teach the fundamentals of conflict management. I can teach the fundamentals of what creates conflict, the dynamics. But man, there is people, when they experience conflict, it's painful. It drives people apart. It creates isolation, sadness, anger, frustration. Those are the problems and pain that I know I've experienced in conflict in my life, and understanding how to handle conflict has reduced pain, anger, frustration, isolation. That's the stuff you're after. And some things are bigger than others, but if you could help people learn to solve their problems, that's where the magic lies. So let's talk about, somebody was asking me recently, what about teaching Excel? What problems and pain does that avoid? And sometimes it's like, well, I haven't personally experienced a lot of problems and pain around not understanding Excel, but I'll tell you what I have gotten. I've gotten a whole big career advantage over the fact that I can use Excel. So sometimes it's the problems and pain to avoid, and sometimes it's the aspirational identity, the wonderful outcomes that people can achieve that you want to drive them toward, right? So being able to build something, being in construction, having the knowledge and the outcome, Lisa, of being able to build, create. Wow, that's cool. So maybe it's not problems and pain. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it could be one or both of the aspiration, the wonderful outcomes, or the problems and pain. So I want you to think about those things. Okay, those are all really important. And finally, what is unique about your perspective? Your story matters. Your story matters. So when I teach a conflict class, I often get a little vulnerable sometimes, and I talk about some of the pain and suffering that we had in my family of origin around conflict, and how that impacted me, and how that impacted my life, and why it mattered to me to teach. Now, again, it's you got to walk this careful line, because you don't want it to be all about you and your story. It's not that, but sometimes sharing a little bit then allows other people to share and tell and get in touch with those experiences of their own. So that's where you're going to start. You're going to start with what compels you, what problems and pain. You're going to go into this breakout room, and you're going to have a meaningful discussion with your partners here about your topics and what makes them unique. Here's what I want to ask of you. Some of you have topics at the ready and some of you don't. That's okay. But I do want everyone to get a chance to share equally. Okay, so if you go into your room and 3 of you have topics and 1 of you doesn't, it doesn't mean that 4th person shouldn't share or talk. I want you to make sure that you divide your time so that everyone gets a chance to contribute. All right, so just be very conscious of that. As instructors, I trust that you will go into these rooms and be able to facilitate a balanced discussion amongst yourselves for sure. Okay, so you want it, Jonathan, I don't know if you recreated the rooms or if they're going to go back to their same partners.
I recreated them.
Okay.
Just to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, great. Okay, good. So you might have to just, again, very, very briefly, here's my topic. Well, you're all going to do that anyway. So say hello to one another You got 12 minutes for this one. So here's your chance to, if you need to, decide amongst yourselves, okay, let's take 90 seconds or 2 minutes and dash to the bathroom and come back. There's a little extra time in there for you to fill up your water and make sure you stand up and stretch, okay? So who are you? There's the camera icon, go for it. If you need a guide, oh, that's your roadmap, never mind. It's in your guide as well. Okay, I'd love to have everybody get their hands on the keyboard here and go to the chat and tell us what it is that is super compelling to you about your topic. Just take a moment so we can all read everyone's response. What came up for you in that breakout session about what drives you? Your inner drive. I have not heard Nicole's voice for a while, Dan's voice for a while. If you want, or Jeanette, if you guys want to speak up or say anything about your experience in the breakout room. Nicole.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
So I changed my topic from the first breakout to the second breakout.
Okay.
Apparently I was a little wishy-washy this morning.
Wow.
So I actually changed it to simplify it, back myself up a little bit, to be the intro into management and leadership. And the reason I did that is because as I worked through my career, I worked my way up. Before I went to school, I did everything backwards. But just having that aha moment when I had figured out that I had this incredible team and I inspired them to accomplish something that they thought was impossible. And from there, that's what continued to drive me through the rest of my career, is building these amazing teams and empowering all these people to do something that they didn't think they could accomplish.
Nice.
So just, I had to figure out me, first of all, like what was my personality, what was my communication and all of those things. But I also had to figure out who they were, how they like to be communicated with, and how they learn. And so it was the big part.
Okay, so Nicole, I'm going to take you a little further on that. And I just want to say, what feelings did you have at the beginning of your journey? Do you recall?
Like when I first stepped into a management position?
Yes.
I was terrified of failing.
Okay.
Absolutely terrified. I had almost like imposter syndrome, like I don't deserve to be here.
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, hey, I've done this job. I'm just going to share those experiences and share that knowledge with these people. And, as we were given goals and objectives to hit, finding different ways to hit them. And like I shared in the breakout group, one of my proudest moments was I created this absolutely ridiculous game. And we actually took our little store in Minnesota and we were number 18 in the company of 1,800 stores.
Wow.
I built a pirate ship and I made it a competition. Seems ridiculous, but it worked. And they were so excited.
Okay. So I'm going to push just a little further, Nicole, if that's okay, for everyone's benefit, because this is a really important thing for you to think through when you're designing a course. It's it sounds like to me from that story that you had a good bit of confidence in that new role and also some good strategy at the ready, right? So you turned that group into a team. You put some play in there. You created some competition, etc. I love that. And in my experience with a lot of managers, not everyone, but some significant proportion of people who step into the leadership role, they have no idea what they're doing, right? No clue and very little confidence. Like they get put into a role because they were good at the job, but they don't necessarily know or like people leadership, and they don't have any clue how to do it. And so they might spend sometimes years being frustrated by people dynamics.
Correct.
And don't have that sense of confidence to be like, hey, let's do a competition, like that kind of thing. So your experience is really, really important. I guess the reason I want to say this, Nicole, is because for everybody's benefit, your experience is really, really important. And when we get to that audience piece, you also want to think about the range of experience that other people might have. You're probably, because you're a teacher, you're probably confident about the things that you were able to achieve. And then there's also that other bit of experience where people are like, I'm not confident at all. In fact, I'm angry about this, or I really dislike aspects of this or something. So I love your own unique experience, and that's super important. And I guess I'm just sort of tying a bridge forward a little bit here to say, in addition to that, I also want you to think about the side that where people aren't as confident. I could have held all that for when we get to the audience part, I'm sorry, but I guess it occurred to me, right? That sounds lovely. I love your story. And your story of origin here. So for example, you might tell your story of origin and you might say, my experience was when I got thrown into this, I had this group of people who didn't feel like a team and I knew I had to make a difference, right? So this is how I did it. So anyway, thank you for sharing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take over your story there. I feel like I took over your story a little bit. I'm sorry about that. Love it though. I love it. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
When we go to that piece, so here we are. Brianne, what are you seeing in the chat? What's happening there? Anybody, anything? Everybody put their stuff in there.
Yeah, so sincere storytelling, personal experiences, removing fear, for train the trainer course, learning to be a better trainer, engaging leaders, helping with retaining new leaders. The people that I trained became my peers later, so the training I gave them also had an impact on me. So I want to help others become successful trainers. My passion for helping people manage fears and anxiety of public speaking that block them from discovering their true, authentic self-expression when speaking in front of an audience.
Yes.
That's kind of beautiful.
Yes.
Finding out my energy, enthusiasm, and way of learning fit in the construction world. Sharing all the great careers. At the building environment and different ramps that people can take. So helping them to envision something they hadn't envisioned before. So
I love that. Love that. Oh, you guys, these are wonderful. Yeah, I'm gonna just push you to go even a little deeper with this as we go. This is a great start. Sometimes, you know how it is in teaching, sometimes you have to show an extreme, right? So that then you can come back and find the right kind of a landing point. But ultimately, here's what we're gonna do. Your roadmap, this is the roadmap, right? On the roadmap, at the beginning, you've got topic and class title, and I put a place on your roadmap that says what transformation did you make? What is your story? And I only gave you 3 little lines. And the reason is, I want you to get in touch with the essence of your origin story for whatever class you teach. The essence of your origin story for whatever class you teach. Okay, so Jeanette, I see in the chat, my topic is ethics. And it's, again, I hope this is okay, you guys. Please, I read myself into all these different topics because I get so passionate about this, but what drives me is to be an example to the employees and managers, living out my moral values. I love that. Do you have any sense of, was there any sense of a problem or a pain that was associated with your early exploration of ethics? Do you have any sense of that, Jeanette?
Well, I would say that, as an HR manager, you're confronted with, with situations in which you have to decide, is this disciplinary action, correct?
Yeah.
Should, sometimes you question yourself, maybe during an investigation.
Right.
The problem sometimes is that when we're friendly and we like someone,
Yeah.
we tend to want to help them, right?
Right.
So we
right.
need to be equitable and discipline everyone the same way, right? So there are times that we need to, to question ourselves and determine, hey, is this right for the employee, or is this right for the company? So those questions arose that, and there are times that I had to tell my boss, I'm not comfortable with what you're asking me to do.
There it is.
I have an ethical issue.
Yeah.
Like I had to have a private meeting with him and say, you know what? You want me to say this to corporate and I'm not comfortable. I'm having personal struggle with this, with what you want me to do.
Okay, Jeanette, that's it, right? That's the nugget. Like I can imagine you teaching people about this stuff and describing the night before the meeting when you're supposed to do such and such, right? And just struggling, like the struggle. How do I get through this ethical dilemma? How do I stand up to my boss that's asking me to do this thing that doesn't feel right to me? How do I craft a good case for why I can't go down that road, right? That's ethics. The struggle is the ethics. And being able to understand ethical dilemmas and ethical pathways through things is the answer to, you don't have to struggle, you have to make a case, right? In a sense. So that's kind of the thing that I always think about is there's struggle under the surface a lot of times, not always, but if there isn't a struggle, if there is a struggle, you want to connect with it. If there isn't a struggle, you want to help people connect to the future vision of something really juicy and compelling that they could have, right? So maybe it's career options, or it's growth opportunities, or it's just a feeling of confidence, courage, something like that. So thank you for letting me play with that, Jeanette.
Oh, thank you for the insights. Really good.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
So
Claire,
yes.
quick question in the chat. Someone was asking what page you were referring to.
Oh, this is the roadmap. This is the roadmap. And that, it should be page 34 in your booklet.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. It should be page 34. I think it is page 34. I don't have the whole booklet right here in front of me because my booklet's different than yours, but I'm pretty sure it's page 34. So let me get the right view here. Okay, so you are very, very important to this entire picture. And when you look in that mirror, you're going to see an amazing trainer. All right, now brief. We're not going to do any exercise around this just yet, but we're going to talk about logistics. Remember, we had the 3 circles. We had you, we had logistics, we had your audience. All 3 of those things need to come together. Logistics are really important because ethics, for example, could be an enormous topic that people could spend years investigating, but you may or may not have years to teach them. So how much time do you have with your audience? This is an important question. How much time do you have with your audience? How much time can they spare? Because sometimes it's like you say to yourself, well, I'm creating this course, so how long should it be? How long should the class be? Maybe it could be 4 hours, maybe it could be 8 hours, maybe it could be 90 minutes. What can they spare? What are they expecting? That's the other one. Like, what are the expectations for the timing? So as a consultant, when I get called in and somebody says, I want you to teach my leaders to be leaderly. I want you to teach them how to manage every situation under the sun. And I want you to do this in a 1-hour lunch and learn, right? I'm like, what? Okay, so then it's a matter of working with people's expectations and being able to say, okay, so if you've got a 1-hour lunch and learn, then what we can do is we can inspire them to want to take the long course, in an hour.
Hey, Claire?
Yes, Bernard.
No, I know that depending on the topic and subject, do you have an idea of how long it should take for the topics that they give you, or do you always have to receive that from the ones that are asking you for the class?
The great question, Bernard. Managing expectations for your client and setting expectations for your client is a huge, big thing, and it's a big responsibility of every consultant and trainer. We have to be able to say, okay, I can't do that in the amount of time that you want me to do, but this is what I can do, right? And be able to talk to them about how their expectations about what the right expectation should be for the outcome that they're asking you for. So right now, this is just my experience. I'd love to hear from Rayanne, Jonathan about this, and any of you that are doing more of this. But right now, I'm selling a lot of short series of classes that are 90-minute Zoom classes. That in the online environment, 90 minutes to possibly 2 hours is a good chunk of time. And then if somebody wants a big outcome, I try to sell them a series so that we don't spend too much time in front of Zoom. Sometimes I just broke, for example, I used to do a class live that was a leadership course that was a 2-day course. And I broke it into 9 90-minute Zoom sessions with homework in between. So each session landed in, now you go do this. And then when you come back, we'll do this. So it was a whole progression. So logistics are important. That's kind of like the tactical design of how you're going to end up delivering your outcome. It's not a really simple thing, but since people have really different logistics, and we'll get a little bit better at that with the MIT, then we're going to come back to it. Does that make sense? Does that help? Is that helpful at all, Bernard?
Yes.
And just to affirm,
yeah,
we do get occasionally some 60-minute requests, but as soon as they talk about how they want it interactive, it's kind of like for a wedding. Everyone wants it to be simple, yet elegant, which means cheap, but make it look expensive. The same applies to training. So 90 minutes is a good minimum standard, but it really just, again, you really have to talk to your client and understand what's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Time-wise here. Okay. All right. Let us, how are you guys doing? Quick check-in here. I would love to show you the audience, do a little audience work and then go into a longer break. Are you guys game for that, or do you want to take a break now? It's up to you. Break? Seeing Samantha? No breaks. I'm watching Samantha.
Keep going.
Keep going. Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Can you go one more thing here? Okay. I'd love to get you through the MIT if I can. So logistics, we'll kind of just weave that in, but you do need to be thinking about how long do I have? Do I have a semester? Do I have, 10 sessions with somebody? How do I break it up? That's really, really important. Okay. What you can sell. Okay. Your audience. Now, your audience, again, a reflection of you in a sense, right? Because you're going to know who you're talking to, I hope. But you need to know a lot of stuff about them. You need to know about their demographics, their life experience, their cultural backgrounds. I like to find out the degree of agency they have in their lives, okay? What that means is, let me give you an example. When I am speaking to, I do a lot of work in the public sector and a lot of work in the private sector. And let me just say that when I go and I work in the public sector, I hear people say things to me like, I can't do that. I don't have that choice. I can't behave like that. That's out of my scope of work. I can't learn that new thing because I'm not allowed to. I hear people say that all the time, right? And I know that there's a lot of different kinds of constraints. In education, you don't want to work out of class. If you're an employee of a college, oftentimes you have a scope that you can work within, and there's things that you can and cannot do. You need to know what people feel about their degree of agency, because sometimes you want to suggest things in your training that people don't feel like they have the capacity to do. So just know, and that's not just based on where they work, it's other things. But I always like to think about the degree that my audience might feel empowered to do or not do something, and work with that, because so much of transformation is personal. It's about personally being able to say, I can do that. So you need to be aware of the broader context of whether or not people feel that they can or cannot. If they feel that they cannot do something for some reason, you got to know what reasons those are so that you can work with that. Okay? So then again, here we go. What problem do they face? How do you know this? Are you guessing, or do you have some data? Okay. How do they feel about the problem? What pain does it cause? Okay. How do your, again, Nicole, I'll go back to what we were talking about earlier. How do your new managers and leaders feel about being new managers? It's probably a mixed bag. They're probably, if they're new managers, they might be excited and overwhelmed. They might be being promoted up above people that were their peers. So they might be a little bit afraid, a little bit unsure about how to deal with that relationship. They may have other barriers, like they may feel that they want to build a team, but they know they have one employee that's having conflict with another, and they don't know how to deal with, all kinds of stuff. How do they feel about that?
We have all of that.
All of that, yes. Yes. So you kind of have to go broad and be like, okay, so what's the common experience here? And then what are the outlying experiences that I also need to make sure I talk about or inform people about, connect with? So what's their pain? What do they want instead? What do they already know about the topic? So for example, if I'm teaching, okay, let's go to ethics again. We'll go back to this ethics thing, Jeanette. If I'm teaching ethics to people who already have HR certifications, let's say they've already been exposed to a lot of information about ethics, but what is their struggle now, for example? Okay, so you really need to help them figure out, you really need to know where they are with the topic. And that's why I always insist on insist is a hard word. If I try to always do an audience analysis with my actual audience, not just my contact person in an organization, but the actual audience members, if I can. If not, then I try to ask a lot of questions of that contact person, different questions that require thinking. So I might say to them, how do they feel about the problem? And they'll give me a surface answer about how they feel. Oh, they're frustrated by it, or blah, blah. Okay, tell me more. Why are they frustrated? What are they frustrated by? Are there people dynamics that are a problem? How do they deal with this with their boss? What kind of tools do they have at their disposal? What other training have you done? What was successful about that? What wasn't? Okay, so a lot of questions. And there's a lot of questions for you on pages 8 to 11 of your guide. Okay, a bunch of questions.
Can I just chime in with a quick example? I was working at a manufacturing company that did large lighting projects for hospitals and schools, etc. And many of the people that worked, the employees, English was their second language. We actually had the marketing manager come and do a very 10-minute excerpt on supply chain. So they understood that their steel was going to take 2 years for us to order the right amount of steel for these projects that we were working on. And when they ruined the lighting fixture, or they did something wrong that required rework, what it meant. And the great thing about that is we went through all of this, but the marketing manager was able to see what concerns the employees had versus his concerns, which were mostly financial. And theirs were examples. They were afraid to speak up. They didn't know how to speak up. They weren't all trained on what the product should look like. There were no visual elements for them to look at, plans. Anyway, it was a really great experience for me. One of the best experiences I've ever had, because we wound up doing a year-long training with this group based on just this aha that the employees had no clue about what they were doing or why they were doing it.
Right.
I'll just add one quick point, Claire.
Yeah.
What Rayanne just said is so true. So many times working with so many different types of organizations, when you dig into what's happening behind the scenes, you sometimes find out that what they say they need is not really what they need, and they realize that. And it just leads to much more effective design and delivery of something that can really create the impact that they truly need.
Right. And then you become a trusted advisor to that organization, because you say to them like, hey, I'd like to do a needs assessment. I'd like to actually interview some of the people who will be in my class and ask them some of these in-depth questions. And when you come back and you say, hey, I just want to let you know that the picture's a little different than we thought, and here's what I'd like to do, or here's how I think we should approach it. Oftentimes you get more work out of that. Okay, that's like a sidebar. What you're really doing is that you're actually helping this organization solve the real problem, not the fake problem. So again, let's go back to what Rayanne said. Made me think about an example in healthcare that was so prominent. I did a lot of work in healthcare for many years, and we go in and they were doing a lot of training. Well, they had a lot of frustration, say, about the fact that there were all kinds of things, accidents, mistakes, lack of handoffs, this, that, and the other thing. Well, as I'm sure this is all common knowledge now, but at the time, nobody was looking at the fact that these nurses were disempowered to speak up about the problems they were seeing. That was the problem. They couldn't speak up. Nobody was listening to them. They would blow them off. They would like be angry with them for bringing up a problem. That was the problem we had to solve. All the other stuff was tactical. It was tactical. What they really needed was to have training on, do you understand what you're doing when you poo-poo this, when you dismiss this person who's trying to tell you that there's a problem, and when you tell them that they're deficient because they don't have a MD behind their name, like that was the issue. Okay, so anyway, getting under the surface. Sorry, on my high horse. Okay, you see the little camera, the little camera icon. You're going to go back into breakout rooms. What I want you to do is get in touch with what you know about your audience. So right now, your conversation is about what you know about your audience. So I want you to share, and again, really being conscious of time and making sure that everybody gets a couple of minutes, but to be able to say, okay, in my case, this is what I really do know about my audience. This is how they feel about the problem. This is what I think they want instead. This is what I think they already know. And you can even look at some of those questions on pages 8 to 11 and see which questions you like the best. All right.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Love to briefly hear from someone in each group, just something that really impacted you from what you discussed.
So if I could go first, I was appointed spokesperson in the last group, and then I didn't have to be a spokesperson out here then. So I just figured I transferred that job to this one. So I think the main thing that came out of what I just heard, and it helped me think about it, is pre-assessment. People could be in class for a number of reasons. Their boss told them to be there. They're supposed to get credit, and they need credit, and they're there, but they're not really wanting to, whatever. Getting an assessment, I think all of us talked about the need for that early on, and I just made some notes. There's some great ways of doing that from what you guys have shown us. So, we could use a Zoom poll, use that menti.com, maybe a Google form before class, or just some interaction with each participant. But it sounds like an assessment right at the beginning really needs to be given some thought and used.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
That.
Thanks, Joel.
Yeah.
All right. Who else?
Yeah, I think in our group, some of us were just talking about how to identify what our group will be like. Who are we going to try to sell this to? Are they as passionate about it as us? How do we get them more passionate about it? So that was something cool that kind of came up, is like, how do you even spark that interest in others to become your audience in the group? And then how are you going to make them excited about it during the class?
That's great.
Very good.
Awesome. Someone else?
It's our final group.
Do one more, and then we're going to jump into the MIT with Claire.
I will just share that Sophia said at the beginning of class, she has them complete this sentence: I am taking this course because, and that really gives them the why, the why is there. So I really like that.
Yeah. Very good. Yep, I'm taking this course because I love that. Now, and again, it's true. Sometimes you don't have access to your audience prior. So you do need to, as soon as you get started, you need to do a poll or two, or ask a pivotal question, or get like we did the word cloud the other day. You can say, what feelings do you have about being a new manager? Or, what feelings do you have about using all these tools, or, something, so that you can get to that undercurrent, not just the, why are you here? Well, because my boss told me to, but what do you hope to gain? If you were to spend this time wisely and you could gain something, what would that be? How would it change your life? Blah, 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 something. So the combination of data collection, storytelling, all that is really, really important. All right, thanks you guys. Okay, I gotta get you to a break, and I wanna take you through the MIT real quick so that we can understand how the MIT comes together, and then we're gonna take a significant break, okay? So as an outcome of this, I just wanna do a couple of high-level reminders. Knowing about, there's some pitfalls that trainers commonly fall into inadvertently. I just want to make sure that you're remembering all the time. If we position ourselves as the guide, not the expert, but the guide,
Right.
it's far easier for our audience to join in with us. Okay, it closes the gap between us and them, instead of us being the sage on the stage. So I always want you to think about that. You're working with a group of geniuses. You're working with people who have amazing life experience. They have possibly different life experiences than you. They've got great life experience that they're showing up with. So your audience member is the hero in their own story. They're always the hero in their own story. So if you can remember that this person is the hero in their own story, they've got pain, they're on a journey, they're going to have a breakthrough experience with me, and they're going to go on to, a great life afterwards type thing, right? So because they're the hero in their own story, when you treat them like that, they're much more likely to transform with you. Your job is to equip your participant to succeed by curating your content. One of the major pitfalls that happens for instructors is that we know all kinds of things about our topic. We know a ton about our topic, and we want to pick up that fire hose and and give them as much as we can. Give them as much as we can. We're not here to give them anything. We're here to guide them through a transformational experience for their benefit. And so we need to understand who they are and where they're coming from, so that we can curate from all this stuff that we know. We're going to pick and choose just the things that are necessary now, so that they can make the transformation. And that's all. Okay? It's one of the hardest things to do. Curate instead of fire hose. Does that ring true, Bernard? I'm loving your smile.
I've seen that in action. Someone's taking a grandstand, and it just kills. You're right. It kills the students. They just get completely disconnected.
Yeah.
And there's I think we have a difference. We have some adults, and some of us are teaching children. So some of these dynamics,
Right.
Yeah.
They are different.
Yeah, they're a little bit
different. They are different. So here's kind of a little different way of thinking about it. We don't want to feel superior to our audience, even teaching children. I find that that's really, really important. It's like, it's such a different experience when you're in the company of someone who comes off as like, I got this, I'm the expert. I'm, just listen to everything I say and you'll be fine. As opposed to somebody who says, hey, tell me about you. What's your life experience? How do you see the world? What are you coming to this situation with? It's just so much more engaging. right?
And it's fun when you start, when they're interacting with each other, they're answering each other's questions. When that's question, somebody in the classroom will answer the question. It's exciting when you see that starting to happen.
Oh, it's beautiful. Because isn't that awesome? Because it does, what it does is it takes you, it's like, so many of us as instructors have this hub and spoke model. I'm the hub, everything needs to come back to me.
Right.
Where it's really not like that. It should be more like a spider web. Like everyone is connected to everyone and they can all learn from each other, right?
I agree.
So another pitfall is we don't really understand our audience needs and we don't ask. We assume we know. We assume they're like us and we don't ask. And that's really not good, right? We also don't want to oversimplify the reasons that people do what they do. Okay, this is a big pitfall. It kind of goes back to the example I gave you about healthcare. An oversimplification is, oh, these nurses aren't doing what they're supposed to do because they don't know. Not usually that. It's not usually that they don't know. It might be that they don't feel empowered, that they don't feel invited, that they don't feel like there's a lot of stuff usually going on under the surface. Confidence is a big thing, right? So it's not usually that people don't, I mean, we got Google. We have these little devices in our hands that can give us any answer to anything, anytime. So it's often not a knowledge problem that people are suffering from anymore. It's something else. So don't oversimplify, dig deep.
And don't try to pretend you know more. Don't try to pretend you know more than you know, because they will pull up that and they will Google the same thing that you're saying to see if you're telling the truth.
Exactly.
They better not have that phone on.
Get him, Garland. Get him, Harlan.
Yep. And then finally, one of the pitfalls, and I hear this a lot, actually, it's really interesting. I don't know, I just have a little tune in for it or something, but I often hear people saying that things that indicate that somehow they're going to rescue their audience members, or I'm going to be the one that enlightens them. Like if they only knew what I know, if they only had this. And it's like, this may be true. Maybe if they only had that, their life would be better. But if you walk into the classroom feeling that way, or you design your course thinking that you are the answer to their solution, you're missing it, because they have to be the answer to their own problem. They have to find it in themselves. That's where the transformation happens. It's not going to happen from you outside. It's going to happen from them inside. So putting that audience member first and foremost is what I'm trying to emphasize here. So again, you're going to blend these things. You're going to blend your experience, your passion, what's happened for you. You're going to blend logistics, and you're going to blend your audience's needs all together into what we call the MIT. That's where all those things come together. And the MIT is the most important takeaway. It's the most important thing you want them to walk out of the room with in the time allotted. Okay? So what can we do? For example, we have an MIT for this class. What can we do in the time allotted? Hopefully we can inspire you to reinvigorate your course design. That's what we want as an MIT. We're not here to give you all kinds of stuff. We're going to try to help you get excited about reinvigorating what you've all done all the time, right? That's what our hope is. And to do that by sharing some stories and some tools, and to mining your own experience and giving you time to connect with each other. So getting to that MIT in the time allotted. Most of the time, I mean, and this is a big, it feels like an easy thing, but it's kind of a big thing. It feels kind of simple, but when you dig into it, it can really be transformational. So let's take a look at some of these MITs, and then we're going to send you on a break, and you're going to sort of noodle on this for your MIT while you're on a break, okay? Sample MITs. I used to, I teach a lot. I love time management. I don't know why. I'm kind of a productivity junkie. I don't know why. I'm not that good at it, but I love it. So I used to teach time management. It would bore me to death. I used to be bored when I would have to go teach time management. And then I was like, wait a minute.
That's you.
What if people can enjoy their life more? by taking control of their time instead of feeling like they're being batted around in the wind by everyone else's priorities? What if people felt like they could enjoy their life more? Then when I redesigned my class around that, my passion got re-sparked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is fun. I like this. And then I could help people experience that transformation instead of just teaching them how to like use this planner. You know what I mean? Like the planner was boring to me, but taking control of their life and enjoying their day, that's exciting to me. So that's what I tried to bring in. So conflict management. I want people to be more confident in their ability to engage in and resolve a conflict at work. It's not about knowing the 5 steps or being able to regurgitate the 5 steps that I've just taught them. It's about being able to step up and speak up to their boss or to that person that is mistreating them, or to ask for a raise, or to, you know, advocate for themselves in their vacation, or, you know, whatever it is. It's like, you got to step up. And that's what I'm hoping for. So designing my class around building confidence is very different than designing my class around having them memorize 5 steps to conflict management. Okay.
So long as they're qualified for that raise.
Yeah.
A lot of people will step up and say, I want a raise, and they don't deserve a raise.
Right. So maybe it's something like that, right?
They're underqualified.
So trust, I teach a lot of trust classes and I absolutely love it, but it's not about necessarily just teaching them about what other people are doing that's breaking their trust. It's about helping them learn and practice mindfulness techniques so that they can be trustworthy and build trust at work. Like for me, it's a different view. Now, these are not the only MITs that everyone would build their own MIT, their own most important takeaway. But when I teach about strengths, I want people not just to memorize the strengths categories from StrengthsFinder. I want them to be excited about using their strengths and preparing to sculpt their work life so they can work from their strengths more often. So these are shifts in the way I teach. They're shifts in the way I see the big picture. Okay, so does that make sense? This MIT stuff it's a little different. And you'll see it because when you first start your MIT, a lot of times this is what's going to happen. You're going to write down, okay, this is my most important takeaway. And then after the break, we're going to go into a different thing called building blocks. And as you start doing your building blocks, your MIT will change. And that's okay. But I just want you to start thinking about it. What you've already done so far is, here, let me pull this up. Where are we?
It's like a foundation for everything that you're going to be building in the course.
Exactly. So far, and this may be just a little bit off base, but what have we done so far? We've connected with your amazingness, I hope. I hope you're all feeling that connection to your own amazingness. Hopefully you've got your passion stoked up a little bit. We've identified some of your logistical constraints. So you know, like, okay, how much time do I have with these folks and how might I approach that? Delved into audience needs a little bit. You had some time to think about your audience. That's really important. We haven't yet crafted your MIT, but we'll come back to that. So way to go. This is good stuff. We're going to go to a break now, and I want you to be thinking about that MIT. I want you to be thinking, okay, so knowing what I know about my audience, knowing what I know about my own transformation, and knowing what my time constraints are, what might my MIT be? And when we get back, we're going to take a 20-minute break here because you deserve it. You earned it. Well, let's say it's 10:43. What if we come back at 11? Would that be okay? An 18-minute break? Let's come back at 11. It's a nice round hour. Go have your break. And when we get back from this break, we're going to share some of the MITs. I also want on your break, if you could grab a big piece of paper, that will be helpful. We're going to take an 18-minute break. We're going to come back at 17-minute break. We're going to come back at 11 o'clock sharp, and we will shout out to you. So just leave your, you can turn off your camera for a while and take a good solid break. Okay. Okay, good. Do you feel a little refreshed, I hope? Yeah. Good. All right. So
Was I-
anybody have thoughts on the MIT? Anybody have thoughts on your MIT before we launch back in?
The MIT for me or for the students? I mean, that you want the students to, I think my focus once again, as I teach my classes, is trying to encourage them to always be aware of the potential of injuries and death
Right.
as they perform their task.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
even because most of my classes that I shared in the breakout, some of them are like mandatory. So some of the employees that don't want to be there, so they're there because they have to be. So
Right.
It's just because you're a killer teacher, Bernard.
and I learned everything from you, Harlan.
Yeah.
Only lost 2 students so far. Only.
Bernard, I'm really happy to hear you say that, because I want to address this idea that just so you know, I always want us to be thinking about that transformation, that they can, even if it's mandatory, even if they have to be there, even if they're required to be there. I always think, you know, let's empower them to have a good time anyway, to be lifelong learners, to realize that they can learn from every situation and everything they're exposed to. And I love what you're saying about if it's safety things, it's like empowering them to not just be conscious of safety, but to be a voice for safety, or empower, you know, to make them, to help them step into the role of being stewards of good safety for their whole team, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
what would it be like to push the boundaries a little bit of that? Just a question, just kind of a question, you know?
You know, one of the things I share, we call it where you change agents for safety. Your whole culture. It's a culture change.
Yeah.
And one of the stories I shared with them, I went into it was raining, and I went into an Albertsons grocery store.
Yeah.
And you know, they have the rugs out there so that if the rain, you don't track the water in the store.
Right.
And in the corner of the rug, it was folded back, so it's a potential tripping hazard.
Right.
So instead of me walking in the store and walking over the folded part of the rug, I straighten the rug out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's us. So I share that with them, that it becomes a culture. It becomes something you do every day, and you don't turn it off and you don't turn it on.
Right.
It's something you leave on all the time, whatever you're doing. Yeah.
That's right. I love that. Yeah, you're preventing people from injury. You're helping them have a I'm sorry, I just have to say this. you know the horrible thing. So what happened to me a week and a half ago is I had an injury where I almost poked my eyeball out. It was very scary, painful. It put me down for like 2.5 days where I couldn't look at screens. It changed my day in an instant. It just turned the corner for me, because I had all these big plans, and then I leaned down and there was a branch sticking out, and I stuck that branch right in my eye.
Wow.
And so here's the thing that comes up for me, Bernard. Of course, you don't probably wear safety glasses all day, all the time, right? But the thing about safety is they call these things accidents for a reason, and any given person could have their whole life changed in an instant if we're not careful. So those small experiences we have about, like, oh yeah, that fender bender I got into because I wasn't paying attention to the road, or blah blah blah, you know, that's really important stuff. So okay, so
we were texting.
Yeah, or texting or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
You look over on the freeway and they're texting while they're driving at
Right.
70. Great.
Right. So we've come a long way so far, right? Again, a little recap. We connected with your amazingness, hopefully stoked up your passion, identified some of your logistical constraints, delved into the audience needs. And so working with that MIT concept, I'm going to ask you to keep working with that a little bit, but we're going to dig into building blocks next. We're going to try to keep moving forward and delve into some building blocks. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change just a tiny bit here. Okay. We're going to go back and we're going to do a few minutes with the MIT, because the MIT is such an important concept. I don't want to, even though you thought about it on your own a little bit, I hope during your break, I really want you to work with your groups and work with this concept. It's really, really important because this brings together what I wanted, my passion, the audience's needs, and the amount of time that we have together. And I want you to write a statement of an MIT. So instead of right now going into a breakout room, we're just going to be quiet for 2 minutes. And I want you to write down what you think your MIT might be. I'm going to put those samples back up just so, anyway, just a thought. What do you want for your people? What transformation do you want for your people in the amount of time you have? I'm going to stop talking. We're going to have 2 minutes of awkward silence. Jonathan, could you set up breakout room for just 5 minutes? We want to just use the same ones. Oh, actually, I can do it. Never mind. I got it right here. Let me do it.
Oh, okay, I have it all set up for 5 if you want.
I'll do it. I'll do it this time.
Okay.
Send people back to the same rooms they were in last time.
Yep. You said 50 minutes, right? No.
Okay, my friends, I hope that you scribbled a little something down. I want to send you to a breakout room here, and we're just going to go 5 minutes with the same folks. And because they know now, they know a little bit about you and your audience and hopefully your constraints. And I want you to share that inspirational statement, that most important takeaway, the thing you want your folks to walk out with. This is different than a learning objective. This is a transformation objective. Let's call it that. This is the transformation objective. What is that most important takeaway? So you're going to go in there and please, use each other for this conversation. Don't be shy. If somebody has, if you have a suggestion to make for someone, say, may I suggest? Can we play with that? Can we play with that a little bit and just banter around a bit about what you think you could do with your MIT, okay? I'm going to open your rooms now, and I hope you can play with these together and come back with your MIT, and then we'll share when we get back. We'll have you guys put your MIT in the chat when we come back. See you in a few. Hello. Okay, I want to see those MITs in the chat. Let's see, put your MIT in the chat. Okay, let's see, yeah.
I'm gonna let Nicole do that.
Okay. Rayanne, you got one? Do you have an MIT to share?
Oh, I just worked with the group.
Okay, good.
But I can pull one from one of my classes.
Okay, Joel, rough MIT. Have each student Take away one idea that will impact their world. Save time, generate new process, develop a new resource. What's the part, Joel, about my email address or others?
For instance, if a student just learns that in a 6-hour class, if all they do is learn my email address and know that they've got another person they can ask a question of, and I've had that happen after an Excel class, I'm not kidding, 6 months later, Joel Hoffman, here, could you help me with this spreadsheet?
Yeah.
And it takes me a minute to tell them, yeah, try this. And they're like, oh my gosh, you have saved my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you want them to come out of class knowing really, knowing that they've got a resource.
That's one possible MIT.
Yeah.
If they may find out that I actually trained them on something in Excel that made their world better in Excel.
Right.
Saves them time, or maybe made them think, we could do this better. So they create a new process.
Yeah.
If they just take one thing, maybe they didn't learn anything like that in Excel. Well, if they just take away my email address for 6 months down the road, just one thing.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay. This is great, you guys. I love these. Okay. So Bernard, I want to read yours. Want them to not only develop the culture of working safely, but to become change agents for safety as well. Like that's the idea of what internal, almost emotional transformation do you want these people to make? I want them to become change agents for safety. I want them to be able to speak the language of safety, feel comfortable, excited even. I want them to own that feeling of safety. So wordsmith it, play with the words, but I love that. That really speaks to me because that's that transformation, right? Okay, Rayanne will be inspired to compose clear, concise messages that will enhance your credibility and professionalism. So I love that because to me, what that says is this is an MIT that's actually she's been working with because it combines what I know she wants, which is she wants people to be inspired to be professional with their writing, right? But it says it in a way that can be related to the students and also to our clients in a way, in a way that's going to help sell. And I love that. So, see that your writing is a reflection of your credibility and professionalism. Want to show up professionally, and then and be inspired to take that on, to own that, right? Okay, let's see. I'm just bouncing around here, you guys. I haven't read all these. I'm trying to read as fast they're coming in, right? So let's see.
If I could just make one observation too that I liked about hers is that she personalized it rather than what I want. It's this is what I want for you, my audience. So I like that, the wording.
Absolutely. And I think that, that comes when you wordsmith and refine. So Dan, I was just looking at yours. So I want my audience to realize the future of freedom they enjoy, their rights is their responsibility. Okay. So you want them to feel that sense of personal ownership, right? So the thing is, folks, when you get to this place where you've got that inspirational, transformational, most important takeaway for your audience, it then impacts everything that you design into your course. Okay. So that's why this is such an important thing. And you're going to play with it and you're going to work it and you're going to change it as you go. And that's great. These do not have to be perfect. I wouldn't expect any of these to be perfect, right? This is kind of an interesting, different concept. It's not the same as writing your learning objectives. I want you to have learning objectives. In fact, if you look here, let's go to, sorry, I'm just moving forward here. Okay, look, I've written learning objectives. It's not that I don't have learning objectives. It's that the learning objectives are secondary to that transformational statement that we had at the beginning of class. I have to go all the way back in the slides. I should have it here, but so.
Can I just add that,
Yeah.
I think I said this the last class, but when we go to a live training, Claire will put this beautiful checklist on the board, and then she'll, every time we finish something, and it's just such a great feeling of accomplishment for us. And it's not really objectives, but then when we get our evaluations, everyone says, you met your objectives for today, because one of the things people say is, why am I here? Did I get what I came for? And that's going to affect your evaluations at the end of the class too. Did people feel that they received what you promised them?
Yes. And okay, so here's the thing, folks, and I'm going to be a little bit of a rebel here, but if you write your objectives in this way, like this is about you. This is about you. Well, my hope for you. I hope that you will connect with your amazingness. Instead of saying, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do an exercise about your experience as trainers, which is fine. But instead, I want to say, no, you're not. It's not just an exercise. You're going to connect with your amazingness. We're going to stoke up your passion. If you can be a little bit rebellious as a trainer and do something different and connect at this emotional level, you will be much more memorable. And this roadmap right here is the success checklist. It's the success path that I have under the surface of this course. So you should feel a sense of progress. You should feel like, oh yeah, I'm doing these important things. Okay, this is my important work that I'm doing here today. Okay, so your MIT is really, really important. I love this, and again, just pushing the boundaries of this. So Jeanette, I want the managers to reflect on what may have happened in the past they didn't realize was an ethical situation. So you want them to be able to see ethics in their everyday experiences, right? And if I can, again, I hope I'm not taking too much liberty here, but if I can push you a little bit on the second part. Secondly, they can address ethical issues with my assistance for them not to struggle in this area. So I would reword that slightly and say, secondly, or I would put that first, I'd say, my hope for you, my hope in this class is that you will be able to identify what is an ethical issue, and you'll feel confident addressing the ethical layer of things, or you'll feel confident addressing ethics in your realm, something like that. So, because what you really want from them is, you say it right here, not to struggle, right? I want you to feel confident. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to not struggle with ethics. I want you to feel that inner North Star of your own ethical guidelines.
And I want to add that what Claire said is maybe even take the word out, struggle and pain, and just say you will be able to identify ethical situations and address them with professionalism and credibility, or something of that sort, that it's very positive language. Yeah. I know that when we tell our stories, we want to have pain and problems, but with the MIT, if we could focus on positive wording, yeah, that's going to be a much more effective way of starting.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. You guys, these are great. These are great. I love it. We've done a few examples here. And again, I just want you to really, really think about what is that transformation you want them to make. So let's keep working, and we'll keep refining as we go. This is the process. And again, I told you this earlier, when I'm creating a class, I just did one last week. I got stuck. I was like overwhelmed. I'm like, oh, engagement. What am I going to do about engagement? You know what I do? I go right through this process. I go to myself, okay, engagement. What experience have I had where I felt disengaged? And how does that feel different than feeling engaged? How does that affect the quality of my life? Okay, so first I get in touch with mine, then I go, okay, wait, I have 3 hours. That's what I have. Those are my constraints. I'm going to be online. What do I know about my audience? How can I find out more? And then I build my MIT. And then from the MIT, I put that MIT in the center, and we start building what we call the building blocks. So let's go there. Let's pull up some building blocks here. Okay, the building blocks. Now, again, I'm a big fan. I'm not a big fan of reinventing the wheel. I'm a big fan of not falling back on what I've always done before. So if I can inspire you to take one of your core courses and redesign it, and almost like, if I may, almost say like, just throw out what you already know and how you've done it in the past. Just throw that away. Just don't do that. Don't even pull out that plan. Start fresh with one thing and see how it goes. Now, you will find that you don't have to start fresh with everything all the time, but if you don't start fresh, it's so easy to slip back into just, oh, I'll just do that exercise that I did before that went really well. Or, oh, I have this thing that I like to do, or I already made that worksheet, so I can do that. Okay, which may be perfect, but it may not be perfect for your MIT. So I'm just asking you to suspend your commitment to your old stuff for a little bit so that you can make sure that you're doing the right thing for your new MIT, okay? Okay, so with the building blocks, I want you to get creative. This is non-linear. I like it to be non-linear, though some of us are more linear thinkers, so I have 2 ways of doing this. And I show you 2 pictures here of the different kind of process I use depending on what I'm doing. A lot of times I start with a mind map. I do these big mind maps. In fact, I started one here. I don't know if you probably can't see that very well. To move my table a little bit, but I started one here going like, okay, so if I were to do a new class on trust, trust is my topic, and I want to put my MIT right in the middle. I didn't write it because I knew it would be too small for you to read anyway, but I have this big whiteboard for this reason. And so I'd say, so my trust MIT would be, I want people to feel, I want people to feel inspired to address the trust issues on their team by working on themselves and being more trustworthy. I want them to understand how being trustworthy can change the game. Okay, so for example, I might do that. So you put that MIT in the center, and then what I like to do, and this actually isn't in your book, so hint here, but this is a little upgrade in the methodology that I've used. I like to write the feelings that they have coming in, and the feelings I want them to have going out of my class. The feelings on the left that they have coming in, and the feelings going out on the right. I like to do that. I like to say, so, you know, sometimes coming in, they just feel neutral. They just feel like, I don't know how engagement affects my life, or, you know, because I'm going back to the one I just did last week. I don't know how engagement affects my life. I don't really understand what my role in engagement is. And on the other side, I go, feelings, what are the feelings I want them to have coming out? I want them to feel fired up about being more engaged as leaders and demonstrating and, you know, leading a highly engaged team. That's what I want them to feel. I want them to feel like, oh my gosh, this is the magic bullet that I didn't realize, you know, like, this is the answer to my problems. That's how I'd love for them to feel at the end. So I'm not going to spend my 3 hours with them telling them the history of how Gallup measures engagement. I'm not going to go over tons of statistics about how disengagement affects the bottom line. I am going to put those things in a resource list, by the way, but I'm not going to spend part of my 3 hours recounting statistics to them about those things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get them in touch with their feelings of being disengaged. I'm sorry, I'm going to change this to engagement, because I just did it. Okay, so engagement, I'm going to put that in the center, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go, okay, feelings of being disengaged. I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to ask them to draw a picture. I'm going to talk, I could talk about stats. So I could talk about stats a little bit. I could ask them to create some fun and easy statistics. I could ask them to do some math. I could say, how much is your time worth? Imagine you're spinning your wheels for 8 hours. How much does that cost your company? And now imagine that there's 300 of you. How much would that cost in one? This kind of thing. Like I could have them do some math. I could give them the math. Lots of different things. So I start brainstorming. I just brainstorm. What do I know about engagement? What could I teach? And I start just brainstorming. I just mind map it. That's the first thing I do. The other thing, sometimes I do it in a more linear fashion. As you can see, the Post-it note picture here just does the same thing. It's like a mind map, but I do it on Post-it notes. And then I just move the Post-it notes around sometimes to say, like, what will I do in what we call building block number 1? This is this big orange thing. What's going to happen? What's the first building block, the second, and the third? What will I do? What's the intro? What's the conclusion? That kind of thing. Okay. So usually my brainstorm is either like green Post-it notes, or it's just one big flip chart page where I start just going crazy. What could I teach? What should I teach? What do I know about this? What do I want them to know about this? What do I want them to feel about this? Okay. So I often think in these buckets. I go, okay, what do I want them to be inspired to do? I want them to be excited. What would it take for them to be excited about it and committed? Maybe they'd have to know what cost they're personally paying for it. Maybe they'd have to know how easy it is to get started, blah, blah, blah. What do I need them to know? What concepts and vocabulary are essential? What do I need them to know how to do? So in the case of engagement, is it more important that they know how Gallup measures engagement? Or is it more important that they know how to go to their boss and ask for a change in something that they work, that's part of their work methodology? Like, to me, the second one is way more important, because I just think to myself, I want people to leave and have that plan, and they could go to their boss and say, hey, you know, that one thing that I work on that really, I'm going to use your language, Jonathan, that really doesn't align with my zone of genius, with my working genius. So what I'd like to request is that we do this a little differently, and here's the plan I've laid out. But that's engagement to me. That's what I'd much rather. So I'd rather spend my 3 hours helping them prepare for that conversation than helping them, than going over the whatever 13 or 27 questions that Gallup uses to measure engagement, right? So that's an example. What do I want them to be able to do? I want them to be able to identify what it is that's bothering them about their work and formulate a solution for how they can address it responsibly and professionally in their world, that kind of thing. Okay, so use those kinds of questions and just brainstorm. What do I know about this? Go big. Don't worry, because you're not going to include it all. And I want you to, in your mind map, go ahead and put things in there like, what does Gallup say about, like, talk about the knowledge, talk about the nitty gritty, that's fine. But go beyond that and talk about what do I need them to know? What do I need them to know how to do? And what do I need them to really feel confident and able to do? Okay. All right. This is going to be an on your own exercise. Do you have questions about that right now? Time check. Okay. We are getting low on time here. This is pretty much our last exercise for today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about spicing it up after this, but this is kind of the last big thing we're going to do today. So, any questions about what you're going to do here? I think, given where we are in class, I think 10 minutes would be plenty to brainstorm on your own. What do you guys think about that? Think 10 minutes sounds sufficient?
I had a question. Are they going to show you the paper that they worked on? Are they going to write it in the chat, or what's going to be the outcome that they share?
Thank you, Rand. I would love it if you want to hold up your paper to the camera. We won't be able to read them all, But if you do this, any way you do this, if you can show us a little bit of the outcome at the end, that would be great. Similar to what we did last time, I would like to give you, okay, so in the interest of time, here's what we're gonna do. And I apologize, we're not gonna go 12 minutes on your own, you're gonna go 8 minutes on your own. And then you're gonna have a couple of minutes in a little breakout to just show it off at the end of class, okay? So take 8 minutes on your own. I will set a timer. I won't play music because I'm sorry, the music was pretty loud last time I heard. I apologize for that. But I'm gonna give you 8 minutes to play around, okay? And if you have a question, I'm standing right here. I'm not going anywhere. You can turn off your cameras if you like, but just call my name and I'll come and answer you. See you in 8 minutes.
I looked at the last screenshot where you said in order to achieve the MIT I want or need, and then it had 4 bullet points.
Yeah.
So I just answered those. I mean, I want to be able to inspire people to use their voice and tell their stories.
Neat.
The know is to know that public speaking can be frightful, but they can overcome their fears and manage their anxieties about speaking. And I want them to know how to identify their negative beliefs about public speaking and teach them how to replace those negative beliefs with more empowering beliefs. I also want to teach them, delivery techniques and how to be more dynamic with their presentation skills.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So how long do you have with people? Like if you were to do like, I know that you do this for a living, you probably coach people, you work with them for long periods of time, but in a training, what are you thinking about in terms of constraints?
Well, I've had to deliver different types of trainings. So I can cater to smaller trainings, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half. I mean, my coaching sessions are an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay.
So it varies. So
okay.
I'm prepared.
Okay, very good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Let's do one more. Who else wants to share about your process? Just about your process, how you got, what you did in that mind mapping in that 8 minutes. What did you do with that time?
This is Sophia.
Yeah.
And I admit that I'm very left-brained, so it was somewhat of a struggle for me to get my colors out. And what I worked hard on was something that I learned from you just now, is trying to identify the feelings that the participants have coming in and the feelings that they have when they're going out. And so what I've decided to do in my left brain is to create a poll when they're coming in, to give them a list of feelings for them to check, to say, this is how I'm feeling about walking into this session, and give them the same poll when they leave.
Nice. I love that. I love that. I love that, Sophia. I often do those same kinds of things. And when we were live and in person, I would do quick whip arounds, even with big groups. And I'd say, give me one word that tells me how you're feeling right now. One word, right? Yeah. And at the end of class, what I often heard and what I love to hear is people would say energized, inspired, ready to go, blah, blah, blah. You know, so that's it. That's what we want to create our learning around, so that at the end, that's how they're thinking and feeling.
And I just want to say, I'm really working to become more whole brain, but I do know that I'm left brain, and I'm working to be better.
Love it. I love it. That's a noble cause. Okay. So folks, we have done a lot today. After this part of the process, once you mind map and you do crazy with all this stuff, then I like to say, stand back and look at what you don't need. Okay, stand back and look at what you don't need. What are the most important building blocks? So what are the things that what's the pathway you have to walk them through to get from the pre-feeling to the post-feeling? And just do that pathway and take out everything else. And that is so hard. That is the hardest part for most instructors. But I have this great, exercise that I used to do, or, oh, but wait, don't they have to know about, this expert that's talking about such and such, and blah. It's very hard. It's hard for me. It's hard for everybody, because we have so much excitement about what we want to teach. But we have to always come back to that thing and remember, wait, it's not about what I want to teach. It's about what they need in order to have this breakthrough, this transformational experience. Okay. So that's kind of how I do that. And then, and again, we're just going to close up here pretty soon, but you've done, this part is the hardest part. Okay. Doing the audience analysis, getting to this feeling level with what you're doing. Then you kind of lay it out in your building blocks. Here's the first thing I need them to do, then the second thing, then the third thing. I'm going to bookend that with a good, strong intro and a great conclusion. And you always have to think about how those building blocks are going to relate to the MIT. And over again, stand back and be like, do we need this? Do we need that? Pretty soon, your design will become easy, and you'll just, it just gets mapped on your DNA, and you know how much you can, what needs to be done and how much you can do in a given period of time. And so that's kind of the big picture with this. With each of your building blocks, each of the stages. Now, I always say, I like 3 is a great number. If you can work with 3 things before the break and 3 things after the break, or 3 things total, 1 before the break, 2 after the break, or 2 before the break, 1, 3 is a great number, 3s and 5s. Once you go past 5, it's too much for the brain to handle in any given sitting. That's why 3 is such a great amount for now. You, your audience, your logistics, and then we sneak in the MIT. Even though the MIT is a big thing, right? But it's like, give people a manageable number of things to do. And then after you've done all this, that's when you use the material in a sense that we covered on Tuesday. You step back and you go, okay, now, should I do a poll here? Like if I'm teaching online, should I do a poll here? Should I do a breakout room? Should I have people draw something? Is this an on your own exercise? Is this something they can do in pairs, blah, blah, blah. So then you stand back and you put the principles of engagement into play. All right. So often, and I'll just say, again, maybe a little repetitive, but oftentimes people start with things like they go, oh, I know, I'm going to do a poll. Oh, I know, I'm going to make sure that we do this fun thing or that fun thing, and that's good. But I like you to do it in the other order. I like you to think about transformation first, build those building blocks first, think about that human connection primarily, and then spice it up. Spice it up a little bit with tools and tips and tricks, okay? Spice it up. Make sense? All right. We're going to talk about your presentations here for a second, but I just want to pause. What is coming up for you right now? What's coming up for you right now? What questions do you
have? This is Sophia. So my topic, the 5 C's of leadership, it's designed for face-to-face. Would you recommend that I just throw that out and start all over again for online?
I don't want you to waste time, but if you really want to use this method, I have found that it's actually easier if you kind of throw out what you did in the past and start over at least a couple times.
Okay.
So that you get into how the method feels to work it. Mm-hmm. And then you can put that into practice and you can pick up things that you've done in the past. But it's just, I don't know, Jonathan, Rayanne, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but it's just so easy to fall back into how I did it before, as opposed to truly designing for transformation. What do you guys think about that, Rayanne?
I think that I love your response. I think there'll be some material, Sophia, that you will be able to incorporate. Of course, the key concepts or the know-how, those basic elements. But I like the idea of just thinking about starting fresh and a new way of doing it, because for me, that has been the most helpful. I did training for years and years and years following what I learned in other programs. And I found that this method that Claire uses with the MIT and the building blocks and really thinking about the student versus what I want has really helped my training a great deal.
And my 2 cents on it is Claire and Ray are incredibly creative, and I work with a lot of different trainers, and they're at the top of their game. And even still, you can approach every, and you should approach every engagement fresh from the perspective of what are the audience needs, what is the MIT for this situation. And so you have the building blocks on that side of it. The other side of building blocks that they have that you may not have yet are the wealth of content that they've built up over the years and experience on a lot of different topics that you can then look at those things that you build up in your kind of repertoire and then apply that fresh perspective to those. And so it's kind of like a little bit of both at the same time. Like you're building the body of content that you have for things that you become known for. And then each time you're still applying that fresh look based on what the audience really needs. Does that help clarify a little bit?
And I'm gonna quickly say something, Sophia. I know you teach resume writing, and you would tell everyone every resume that goes out to a different company is different. It's tailored. Yes. And so I definitely think that we want to make sure that we know the audience, we know the purpose, we know how to highlight the right topics for that particular audience. So I don't like canned presentations myself, and Jonathan knows this. I teach a writing class, and every time I have a different audience, like right now I'm doing construction workers, all the examples I use are construction related, and because otherwise they can't relate to the exercises. Like we don't do that. We don't write those kinds of notes, etc.
If you want one word to think about, the opposite of canned is relevant. Okay. You can have a beautifully designed training that's like perfect for one audience, and it's canned if it's not relevant to the next audience, even though it's a wonderful training.
Right.
It's just really like all the stuff that you're learning today is about the relevance to your client.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
It's interesting, you guys, because I know, I mean, I've had the great pleasure of working with incredibly talented instructors, all of you, I mean, the talent is astounding, really, and it's not about saying like, oh, this is something totally different, blah, blah, blah. It's not really totally different. It's a different focus. It's just like, instead of looking here, we're looking here, and that little shift can make a real difference. And you all know this because you've all done it. We do it accidentally in a sense. And I just want you to do it on purpose every time. I want you to do it on purpose every time.
And I'll say one thing about how relevant this is for me personally. So I've been working with another trainer, and we've been on a sprint. And this afternoon from 1 to 5, and tomorrow from 8:30 to 12:30, we're going to be delivering 2 sets of trainings. And we're designing all the content from scratch, everything, because it's a brand new area for this client. But I already, like, even during the break time, I read Claire my MIT, and she's actually going to be watching me this afternoon and participating in that, because the MIT is that core message. If you don't have that right, it doesn't work. I have a roadmap. So this is real stuff that we use that really has an impact on creating something that's super relevant and impactful for people.
So I have a quick question. If I were in the class taking it for the very first time, Claire, I would want to know, is there a sample? Is it worth looking at what other bootcamp presenters have done to give me an idea of what you expect? Or do you not want to put that on us? That will be too limiting. So that would be a question that maybe we need to address.
Yeah. I want to call your attention just back to the workbook. There's examples in there that should get you started without it being like, sometimes it is great to see somebody else's idea and go like, oh yeah, I can use some aspect of that idea for sure. Okay, let me answer that by talking about what we're doing next. The next phase is that we're going to go into small groups, and one small group is going to work with me, one with Jonathan, one with Rayanne. You're going to give presentations, 20-minute presentations of something. And we're going to be looking for those things that we introduced on Tuesday. We gave you your rubric, you know, your evaluation form for that 20-minute exercise. This is what I'd like to suggest. Jonathan, I don't know if have you put together groups perchance?
Not yet, but I have the names, and I'll just confirm right now. I have Nicole, Joel, Dan, Sophia, Bernard, and Clark. Did I miss anyone?
Yep.
And Jeanette. Okay, great.
And the rest of you guys don't want to do your 20-minute certification presentation. Is that correct?
I do, Thomas.
Okay, Thomas,
Okay, Thomas and
yeah.
Samantha.
And Lisa. I think pretty much everybody said yes this morning, right?
All right,
Nobody
great.
changed their mind.
Hey, Claire, you said you guys gave that on the first day. Can you get it to me?
You betcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll be we'll form some groups, and then you'll need to schedule amongst yourselves that time to practice and everything like that. But let me just say, I'm so happy you're all doing it, because it's some work. But to go through that process, the 2 rounds, the draft round with each other and then with us, you're going to get a lot of great feedback. And we've had some really seasoned people go through it. In fact, even if we put ourselves through it, we would give ourselves just the same feedback and grow every time we grow.
Every
So
time.
I'm so happy you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm interested in doing it. When are we going to do those?
Okay, so what you're gonna do is this. We're gonna create groups and we're gonna email it to you right away. In fact, Jonathan's gonna send this task back to me because Jonathan's got something else going on this afternoon. And I will email you guys. Me or Rayanne, one of the 2 of us will email you, and with your group names and the email addresses of everyone in your group. So the 2 steps are this. You're gonna get together with your group without us. I mean, we may or may not be there, but your group is most important, and you're going to prepare for your 20-minute presentation. We're also going to have some office hours. I will let you know when those are, so you can show up and just ask questions. You're certainly welcome to email us. Then in 2 weeks, then we meet with you and you actually present to us in that meeting time. Okay, so first with your group, office hours if you need them and as needed. And then you present to us, okay? And we're gonna send you all that information in an email.
Claire, can you verify that you have my email, because I'm not receiving the link. I'm coming in as Joel, so.
Yes, okay, Bernard, yes, we need to make sure. You know what, Bernard, can you write your email for me in the chat real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. Everybody else has gotten emails, right? Yes, good. Thumbs up. Okay. Okay, now I always hate to end a class with logistical stuff. Brings the energy down, right? But what I want to do is let's do a quick whip around. I'm going to name you 3 at a time. I want everyone to unmute, and I want you to tell me 1 word that describes how you're feeling about your course right now. Any word is acceptable, but I would like you to steer away from fine, good, and okay. Give me something more than fine, good, and okay. Okay, I'm gonna go Lisa, Dan, and then Clark. What is your word, Lisa?
Inspired.
Yay! Thank you. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't have reacted like that. Thank you, Lisa. Any word is okay. Dan, what's your word?
Uncertain.
Uncertain. Also acceptable. Absolutely. Thank you, Dan. Clark, what's your word?
I think overwhelmed from an online standpoint.
Yes. Okay. Okay, I get it. All right, I'm going to come to you, Bernard, and then Joel, and then Harlan. Bernard, what's your word?
Can I use exciting?
Sure. Love exciting. Okay. Joel, how about you?
Hopeful.
Hopeful. And Harlan?
I'm trying to come up with something better than the word useful, but something more exciting than useful. So usefully exciting.
Okay, usefully exciting. Okay, Rayanne, I am going to ask you, and then Samantha and Jeanette.
Well, it's funny, I just got asked to do a new class today, and I am really excited because I haven't done this in 4 years, and it's on drug and alcohol abuse in the workplace. So I get to talk about cannabis, which is a very interesting topic this year. So I'm really excited.
Excited. Okay, very good. Samantha, what's your word?
Also excited because it's a train the trainer class, and I'm a trainer at my full-time job, which it's one of my favorite things to do at work. It's like I don't do it that often, but it's really fun. So I'm excited to take a class about it.
Excellent. Jeanette.
I'm knowledgeable. I felt like I received a lot of tools and tips specific to my training on ethics, and so I'm very appreciative. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, Thomas, and then Sophia and Nicole.
I feel prepared. I feel excited. That's been said a few times, but I definitely feel prepared.
Awesome. Sophia?
Motivated to ching.
Okay, good. And Nicole?
I was gonna say excited, but everybody else used that word, so I'm gonna energized.
Energized. Very good. And Jonathan, what is your word?
Energized as well. I mean, I have to say, you yourself are energizing, Claire. And so I always learn new things as we go back through this, but I feel energized by you and by the energy in this group. And just the reminder of, we only see the people on the screen, but what we walk away with and implement will impact, it has a huge ripple effect in so many organizations. And so I'm just always grateful for this time. So maybe I'll change my word to grateful.
Nice, grateful, love it. Okay, you guys, this is fantastic. Oh, Rayanne, you're funny. Okay, Bernard, I've got you.
About how that sounded, and I was like, no, it's the opposite.
You're good, Ray. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Funny. Okay, I'm capturing your email here, Bernard. We've got you. We will get back to you right away. I'm with Jonathan all afternoon too, but by tomorrow afternoon, you will all have your groups, your Zoom links, your times for our office hours, and each other's contact information and any background information that you need. We're here for you. We can't wait for the next step. And by all means, let us know if you have questions in the interim, okay?
On that email, could you attach that assessment form for our presentation again, please?
Absolutely, I will. Yes.
Great, thanks.
What if your presentation isn't 20 minutes long? Does it have to be 20 minutes long?
No, you just got to give us 20 minutes. Give us 20 minutes of your presentation, okay? So what you would do is you might come in and you'd say, okay, this is the 20-minute segment of a conflict management class. I've just done this, and now I'm going to give you the 20 minutes of this. That's it. And so you don't have to design a new training that's only 20 minutes long. You have to give us a slice of a training.
I don't think my training could be any longer than 20 minutes. That's why I asked it.
Perfect.
I hear you.
Yeah, perfect. That's fine.
And I also put in the chat box too, because I love that mind mapping. I had a friend from the trade desk who showed me this app called MindMeister, and you can get that free app and where you can do all of those diagrams on it. And
awesome.
If you're not into saving sticky notes, it works great.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, there are some cool tools. Jamboard is something that you can use as well, I think, and Mural, stuff like that. So good. Yes, there's lots of tools now. I'm an old-fashioned pen and paper kind of gal. Okay, you guys, I'm feeling self-conscious because I kept you over here, but I just absolutely appreciate every one of you just looking around the room. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to see your presentations. It's going to be fantastic.
Just curious, I was thinking you were ending early. Wasn't this a 4-hour class today?
It's supposed to be 12:30.
Yeah, we actually have, we had a little buffer time built in, but we know people are online a lot. And one of the things about Claire's training is it doesn't feel like forever. So we thought we'd give you back a little bit of time, but we do have some time on the clock. So if you want to ask some further questions right now, we're happy to do that.
Oh my God.
Well, I just didn't want Claire feeling bad for taking us over when in fact
yeah,
making
no
me
worries.
feel good about being done quickly.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying that, because I was like, oh no, it's just, I didn't recheck. I was just like 12 the alarm starts to go off.
You can blame me. I'm the time checker. So the main thing is we got through what we really needed to today. So Jeanette, your question?
In our presentation, would we do an activity, show a video, or it's only just oral? Like, Like, are we supposed to incorporate that too? I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
We want you to demonstrate what you've learned from the first session, so we would expect you to actually use some of the tools, a poll, a video, Google Docs, mind map, some way that really enhances, not just to use it, to throw it in there, but again, going back to how does this help our student or participant apply a skill or learn a process or understand how this helps them.
Don't use a long video though, because this makes to really showcase you, and then be like, here's a 19-minute video and my MIT. So definitely also incorporate from today. You know, we do want to know what your MIT is, how you're setting it up. Also, what does your background look like? How are you set up? Are there a lot of distractions? So think about the look and the feel, as well as the connection with the audience. So as you look back on your notes, you know, just be thinking, and then your practice group should be able to give you that feedback. I mean, we've had sessions where, you know, someone had a plant right over their head the whole time. So you want to just be thinking about the different ways that you're showing up.
Oh, your practice group, from our experience with the last 2 groups, your practice group is going to be fantastic. Like, people are like still connected with and working with folks that they met in their practice group, and go to each other for feedback on courses. And it's awesome, because this is part of our community. This is our chance to build a bigger community around these things. So we hope you'll really love that. People have gotten a lot out of the practice group.
And we do want to tell you, not every single person will certify. You have to look at that evaluation sheet and make sure that you're hitting at least adequate performance on every one of those items. Otherwise, we'll say, you need to come back and do it again for us. We're not saying, but you can have a second chance if you need it.
Yeah. But
try to make sure you hit it on the first time.
This is all about learning, folks. It's all about learning together. It's not about perfection. It's not about, you know, superstardom or anything like that. It's literally just about learning and trying this new methodology. And so please, you know, take that for what it is. If somebody doesn't certify the first time, like Rayanne said, we give you a chance to come back and do it again. You usually can do it. You know, your group members are all into it and want everybody to certify. So know that you've got a lot of support here.
And we would tell you exactly what you need to do to improve it, whether you certify or not. So there are no surprises anywhere.
Yeah. Lots of feedback.
Do you have, on the first day you had shown us, I think it was a roadmap that was really cute. That was like a car or something traveling. Do you have a template like that? Yeah, I could try to make like a handout.
I will send you guys all that document. In fact, what we'll do, you guys, is we're going to send you one email to everyone that has the groups, the Zoom, the attachments, the whole bit. Okay. So everybody
check your spam folder just in case you don't get anything in the next 24 hours.
Yeah. Okay. And I will include that, Samantha. Thanks for the reminder. I will include the success path.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun, huh? A little. And I'll also include, so you guys, one thing I really encourage you to do is to write out a little content outline, a short one, a small little content outline that guides you through your, let's see if I've got a sample here. No, but there's one in your workbook. And basically it shows, you know, here's the time, out of my 20 minutes, I'm going to spend the first 3 minutes doing this, the second 3 minutes, the fourth 3 minutes, you know, et cetera. And shoot, I wish I had a visual of that right now. I can grab something. Anyway, let me work on that while we do some other questions, and I'll throw it up there. But having a little content outline actually helps us as evaluators as well to see, like, what is that little 20-minute slice that you're taking. If you're taking it out of a longer class, then we can see, oh, like I mentioned the conflict management before. Oh, okay, so this is a 20-minute thing that you're going to do right after the break in an otherwise maybe, you know, 90-minute class or something like that. So it gives us context and shows us where this piece belongs you wouldn't necessarily do anything more than one building block. It would be one building block with a couple of examples and a couple of exercises, stuff like that. But of course, when you start, you'll need to say, okay, my audience is this, my topic is that, and now I'm going to jump into this part right after the break where they've just done this. Okay, go. And then we start from there. Okay. You guys have all done these things, I'm sure. You know, anytime you've ever gotten a certification or done how many of you guys have certifications in sort of different models? Yeah, some of you do. Some of you do. Okay, great. Yeah. We always need to do that. All right. Any other questions?
I just want to raise something, just that this can feel overwhelming. Even if you're excited about it, it can feel overwhelming. And I would say my advice would just be to keep it simple. It's just that you want to connect with your audience and have them walk away differently than how they showed up. And you have expertise and passion. And there's some guidelines here to help you kind of construct it. And you can't make your audience passionate about anything. But what you can do is create an environment in which their passion can show up. Their passion can be activated. So don't own the responsibility of how they feel. Just own the responsibility for the environment you create in which that can happen. And then one more thing, someone had just messaged me in the chat about kind of how does a trainer identify a topic to market? It goes back to those 3 circles that Claire put in earlier. And the only unknown then is audience, but you have your expertise and passion, and you have some logistical things of yourself of what you can and can't build in terms of time constraints. And so just be thinking about, where am I already adding value in the world, and how might I bring that to different audiences, right? So hopefully that answers that question.
So I just want to add that one thing that Claire does really well when you're planning your course is she'll say, what is the audience doing? How much time are they listening? How much time are they doing hands-on? And we try to keep it in no more than 20-minute chunks where they're not sitting there listening to something. Or how are you breaking it up? So it's like, I always tell people, it's almost like music, right? There's a beginning, there's a crescendo, and then there's a coming down. And so you really have to think about the flow of your information and where you're getting people to the high point. That depends on, is a 3-hour class, or you're at the high point at an hour and a half, or your high point at the end. Lots of things to consider. It really is a little dance, going back to line dancing, right? There's steps, there's a process. I think there's so much, and I was thinking with Thomas, this training is almost like a speech, right? You have an introduction, you have your 3 points, you have your conclusion, you have your purpose statement, which is overriding everything. So it's almost like a longer version of an informative speech where you're giving them information that's useful and they're coming out better than where they came in. So there's so many, I don't know, I'm just a person that's always seeing connections. I drive people crazy, but anyway, that's just
the right kind of crazy, Ray. We could use a couple clones of you.
But also like that, like Thomas, you're probably seeing a lot of resonance with coaching. Like if you coach people, the coaching, to coach someone is to help them identify their unique barriers, their passion, and help them, lead them through the change process. Any of you that teach change management, these are the principles that have gone into this design methodology. It's about how you really make those deep connections with people and help them want to change. Be ready to change. Yeah. All right. All right, you guys, thank you. Wow, we get to give you back an 11 minutes in your day. How's that? Sorry about the little snafu on time there, but actually I'm a little bit happy because we were able to answer questions. Okay. All right, you guys, I'll send you that email.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
So much.
Bye, everybody.